This is the Jason Gregor Show.
So ready to explode. On the verge of making it all happen. There's a boxing on the second. Taylor Scott. Los Angeles. It's a round of the World Series. Dodgers Yankees in the Fall Classic.
CA, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Up now out of the slot. Stafford to the end zone. Caught touchdown. DeMarcus Robinson.
Force 1440.
And the Oilers Nation YouTube channel.
Here's the
It's at the top. 1-0 within second of the year.
Well, a positive Friday. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X, and Instagram. Of course, sports1440.ca, as well as the app on iHeartRadio, Radio Player, or Stingray. Thanks for listening and watching wherever you're at. It's Positive Friday, man. We got a loaded show for you today. Absolutely jam-packed. Actually, just getting busier. We just confirmed that Mark Giordano will join us today at 3 o'clock. Big Mac, Steve McIntyre at 4 o'clock. Steve McIntyre was here. It's an alumni skate for the Oilers. They usually have alumni skates once a month in the afternoon, right after the morning skate. And, of course, Steve played for both the Penguins and the Oilers. So he came into town. He's farming in Saskatchewan. So drove in because he, wants to see Crosby, obviously see the Oilers, be here for McTavish night as well. And so he's standing there. I'm talking to Steve, and Darnell Nurse comes walking off the ice, and obviously they know each other, and say hello. So McIntyre's on there, in his shoes. Nurse is on his skates, and McIntyre's like, there might have been a centimeter difference. He is such a huge human being. Like, Darnell Nurse, pretty big dude, but besides Steve McIntyre, he looks tiny. And Nurse even joked, he's like, "Oh my God, man, you look strong as ever." A few other expletives in there, and away you go. So it was really fun talking to McIntyre for a guy who was in Edmonton for a short period of time. He, you know what? It's still the greatest moment of his life was when he played in the NHL, that first game in Edmonton. I still remember his dad coming in the dressing room afterwards, and both of them having a long embrace, and there was tears from the son, tears from the dad, and it was a great reminder. It was during the decade of darkness. It wasn't a great time for the Oilers, no question about it. But with McIntyre reminded a lot of people, hey, guess what? You could be at a lot worse places than being in the NHL on a 28. I don't even know what place they were in, 28th, 27th, whatever place it was. So it's pretty big moment. So we'll talk to Steve McIntyre. Of course, we got Craig Button coming up at 4 o'clock. I mentioned 4:20, Mark Giordano. Also, I look at Andrew Walker will set us up for a little pregame. Of course, the Oilers and the Penguins tonight on Hall of Fame night. Brian Metzer will give us the Penguins side of things. Al Mitchell will be by. Ansar Khan will join us as well. So it's going to be an awesome time. Awesome show. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our email inbox is where you can get involved. As always, the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And if you took Puka Nacua in over yards yesterday, you were enjoying it as he comes in over 100 yards receiving yesterday. And suddenly the Rams, with both Cooper Kupp and Nacua back, geez, their offense looked pretty good all of a sudden. It's almost like when you have better players, you have a better chance to win. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy how that works, but it's like it's working. So we'll see. We'll talk a little NFL as well. Of course, the Elks' final game of the season tonight against the Toronto Argonauts. As Trey Ford, people saying, well, Trey Ford was asked, is this an opportunity for him? He goes, hey, I know I can play in the league. So, but hey, it's another opportunity you always can look at it as an opportunity to get better, and I'm sure he does. And we'll see how it goes. There's been some people wondering, is this Trey Ford's last game as a member of the Green and Gold? If it is, I would say that's a pretty botched run for Trey Ford. If tonight is his last game for the Green and Gold, it would be, where are they going to go for quarterback? Now, Bethel Thompson's funny. I went to OEG for breakfast today, and sitting 2 slots over was McLeod Bethel Thompson. Didn't talk to him because I don't like bugging people, but I was sitting there wondering, is this his last game for the green and gold? That would seem more likely, just based on age and where the organization is. But based on the actions of the organization, if it's the same people running it next year, I wouldn't be stunned if Bethel Thompson was the QB and Ford wasn't. So we'll see what happens this offseason in what is going to be a monumentous offseason for the green and gold. They're going to hire their new president. Then they've got, there'll be that announcement, followed closely by, I would think, the announcement of who's going to be the GM, who's the head coach, and then a rather big one, who's going to be the quarterback. Last I checked, it's a rather important decision. Oilers lineup tonight. A few changes up front. McDavid will center Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl is going to center Arvidsson and Vasily Podkolzin. Coach Chris Knobloch, 2 reasons. He wanted a bigger body. He feels Podkolzin's played quite well, so thought to give him an opportunity. Last 2 games, I think he's been his best games by far. Big body goes to the net, so we'll see what he does there. Meanwhile, want a little bit more offense on the third line, so Skinner with Henrique and Brown. You'll have Janmark with Ryan and Corey Perry. On defense, Ekholm Bouchard and Nurse and Stetcher back together. I think that's probably been the best partner for Nurse so far this season, and Emberson and Kulak. So, they're still looking for a partner for Darnell Nurse. And that's why Mark Giordano, is he still interested in playing? Can he play? I know some people say, well, you look at the age, but a guy like Mark Giordano, whose game was always built on moving the puck, he was never a fast skater. I don't think his game was ever about how quick he moved. So we'll see. We'll talk to him about that. I know he's been skating. Interested? Would it happen? We'll see. So we'll talk to, it's always best to go to the source, find out what's their interest level. So we'll have Giordano come and join us at 3:00 today.
Gregor, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If this was a forward making the money that Darnell Nurse does, and I don't want to get into his salary, but there'd be that expectation that you should be rising players around you, right? Should it be this hard to find a partner for Darnell Nurse?
Well, I think him and Setcher played fine. So I don't think they're switching partners because of Nurse.
You think it's the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nurse has actually played quite well this season. I've had no issues with Nurse's game. I think this 7-game stretch, we haven't seen, when I look at it, I haven't seen many major errors. I think Nurse being more aggressive has helped his game. No question. I think they don't have a second pair right defenseman. I don't think your partner can make you what you're not, right? Like, you can put guys who are third liners with Leon Draisaitl, and you know what? They might score a few extra goals, but they're not suddenly going to become 40-goal scorers if they don't have the skill to be a 40-goal scorer. Right? That's kind of how I would look at it. So we'll see. But the Oilers' offense, good news. Their offense is in a coma almost, with only 14 goals in 7 games. But just like the Nashville Predators are a team that the Oilers beat, so are the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Oilers have won 6 straight against the Pens, and in those 3 seasons, they've outscored them 33-9. They've won 6-1, 6-3, 4-0, 5-2, 7-2, 6-1. It's been domination. Connor McDavid, 17 points in those 6 games. 6 goals. Zach Hyman, 6 goals in 6 games. For a guy who has, and I was looking at Hyman's numbers today, and you saw it last game, what his best chance he put over top of the net. So Zach Hyman has 16 shots on goal. He has 14 missed shots. Shot attempts that missed the net. Right now, 47.7% of his shots are missing the net. Now, you might be wondering, well, is that high? Is that low? Good question. I know the answer because I looked it up earlier today. And for Zach Hyman, if you look at his last 2 seasons, he was much lower. You know what? He led the Oilers actually in shots on goal last season, right? Also led them in goals. Not a huge shock in that regard. But when you look at it and you say, okay, what's up with Hyman? Well, last season he missed the net 114 times out of 404 shots, which was 28.2%. The year before, it was 24.7. Now he's up to 47. So I don't think that's going to continue, right? You're not going to take 30 shots and have 14 of them miss the net out of his next 30 shots. I'd be willing to bet money on that. It's just, especially because his shots aren't from distance a ton, but he's had some good looks, missed the net on it. Are you pressing? I have no idea. Not in his head. But when you look at the numbers, you look at the amount of chances he's had, and he's missed the net on some of his best chances, the odds are that's not going to continue. I'll call it right now on a positive Friday. I think Zach Hyman scores his first goal of the season tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins, a team that comes in 31st in goals against per game. They've allowed 4.25 goals against. They haven't had great goaltending. They haven't had great team defense. Their special teams are actually all right. 24% on the power play, 83.3% on the penalty kill, but 5-on-5, they are getting crushed. So tonight could be the night where the Oilers, you know what? They got a lot of guys who need to feel a little bit better about their offensive game, especially 5-on-5. Hyman, Draisaitl, Nugent, Hopkins, Arvidsson, all goose eggs, 5-on-5. So, you know what? This could be the night for them. Tristan Jarry, if you missed it yesterday, he's back in Pittsburgh now, working with their head goalie consultant, just trying to find his game. And it's not 100% yet. Blomqvist, I'm guessing, will be the starting goalie tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's been all right for them this year. But Nedeljkovic played their last two games and not great numbers. Yeah, he's still sub 900, whereas Blomqvist is at least 0.908. He's got a 3.16 goals against. So when he's in net, they've been averaging a goal a game lower. So we'll see where that goes from there. Stuart Skinner, if you look at his season numbers, they're not great. If you look at his, you take away the 31 minutes against Winnipeg, since then, Skinner, his goals against is under 3, and his save percentage is just under 9. It's been a lot better. So I really, outside of the Duchesne goal, in his last 4 starts, I don't really have an issue with Stuart Skinner. I think he's been fine. I thought against Carolina, he was excellent. I thought against Philly, he was excellent. And outside of the one play against Duchesne, I thought he was pretty good against Dallas. So they need him to continue that tonight. Right? Don't let Malkin get you, because Malkin's been excellent for the Penguins. 11 points early on this season. They got Sid Crosby. Lars Eller's off to a pretty decent start. Their 3 centers have been producing, but they're giving up way too much. So that is the concern for them. Also, on Hall of Fame night, I have to say this. Watching Randy Gregg. Now, no, he's a local guy. His whole family's here, so that now makes it a little bit more convenient than some of the other guys who get inducted into the Hall of Fame. But Randy Gregg, they have the pre kind of, there's a ceremony today where they have a little Q&A with family and friends and some other people around. And so, they had Huddy and Lowe and Don Jackson, his partner for many years in Edmonton, and Craig Simpson were up there talking about Greg and McTavish, and then Greg McTavish got up and spoke. But in the crowd, Randy Gregg's 2 sons, 2 daughters, their spouses, and 12 grandchildren who are the ages of 9 and under. And lots of them are under the age of 3. And so Randy gets up and he goes, "Hey, I just want to clear something up here. You see the grandkids who are noisy? That's my wife's responsibility. The quiet ones, those are mine." And it's pretty funny. But you should see, cute little kids around. And of course, they're 1, they're 18 months. They don't really know what's going on with Grandpa, right? That you try to sit them in a room to be quiet. Any parent out there knows. So it was, but it's just funny. They all have their little Oiler jerseys on with number 21, Greg, on the back. So you know what? That'll be quite a moment. They had a picture with his entire family on the stage, and all the grandkids sitting there, and they're pretty excited, right? And you got to think how much fun that would be. All your cousins together. You're all within 9 years of age. Oh my goodness. That is at Grandma and Grandpa's house at Christmas or family events. That just must be awesome. But I could just imagine for Randy, it's great for his kids who, some of his kids, of course, 2 of them were Olympians. So they know a thing or two about high level sports, right? They're all good athletes. And to see their dad go up in the Oilers Hall of Fame, I think it's going to be a big moment. Craig McTavish kids were there as well. No grandkids yet, though. A little bit younger. So either way, though, that was a pretty special moment. Again, if you're going to the game or you're watching the game tonight, the ceremony is going to be post-game, and it will be televised. About 8 to 10 minutes after the final whistle is when that ceremony is going to start. So there you go. Also, do you want to go to the game? We got a pair of seats. We're going to do a rapid fire auction, so you have lots of time. We'll end it at 4 o'clock. If you want to go, pair of seats, probably could get a good deal on these. Lower bowl, where the Oilers attack twice, 833-401-1440. for the Hall of Fame game. And hey, it's Crosby, it's Malkin, it's McDavid, it's Draisaitl, and usually there's a lot of offense when these two teams meet. And if you look just at this season, there's no reason why the Oilers offense can't finally get a pulse tonight. So 833-401-1440 in our email inbox, or you can call Connor at the same number if you want to put in a bid. Lori-Ann Muenzer will also be by. As I mentioned, Mark Giordano, Steve McIntyre, Craig Button. So a loaded show for you here on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Also caught up with Paul Coffey to talk a little bit about Randy Gregg. And they had all 6 defensemen from the Oilers because it's something that's very rare. People probably don't remember this, but when Gregg and Jackson, they both joined the team the same season. They were both rookies at the age of 26 years of age. Of course, Randy had played at the U of A and then played in Japan for a few seasons. Then was at Team back when Team Canada had their Olympic team. Also played there. So when he joined the Oilers in 81, 82, and for the next 4 seasons, they had the same 6 defensemen the entire time. Don Jackson, Randy Gregg were a pair. Lee Fogel and Kevin Lowe were a pair. Charlie Huddy, Paul Coffey were a pair. Like, think about that. How often do you have the same 6 D-men? A, that stay healthy enough, and B, they're there the whole time. And led to some good continuity in the playoffs for them. So, all 6 of them were there. So I think that shows kind of what Randy meant to that group, that all 6 are in town for his Hall of Fame induction tonight. Quick break. We'll return on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
When interest rates are low, that's a good time to buy a vehicle. And 0% means it's a great time to buy. Right now, St. Albert Dodge can set you up with 0% financing on hundreds of vehicles. Virtually all new 2024 models. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0%. Dodge Durango and Hornet. 0%. Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 trucks, all as low as 0%. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with the tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
New Jizz Nuggets. This is New Jizz Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge.
Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of New Jizz Nuggets.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at Chevrolet. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Silverado 1500 Crew Cab RST models. Explore downtown hotspots with standard Chevrolet safety assist, including automatic emergency braking and HD surround vision camera. Or take on the great outdoors with an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine and available in-vehicle trailering app. Oh, look, a cute chipmunk. Not so cute. Not so cute. Ask your Chevrolet dealer for details.
You can't predict exactly how your harvest will go. So here's the next best thing, InvigorResults.ca. Featuring localized and replicated trial results, you can see how InVigor canola hybrids could perform in your fields. But more importantly, the results demonstrate our consistent track record and undisputed leadership, giving you the confidence to flex your harvest muscle season after season. Go to InVigorResults.ca to see results in your area today.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's #1.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Harris Wiener. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree.
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
It might just be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win friends with salad.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. May the better team win, and may you eat the better pizza. Order an extra large New York-style one-topping pizza for only $17.99 today at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having yourself a wonderful day. We have the Oilers hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it's been quite the road trip for the Penguins. They're giving up goals left and right. Their goal is being sent home to work on his game. And I saw Josh Yohe's article, Eric Carlson. I'm playing great. When you look at his numbers, I'm not sure. But, Carlson's pretty confident, so nothing wrong with that. But the Penguins are leaking goals, which to me is not a huge shock when they're not a great defensive team. And Oilers, though, their offense right now has been somewhat stuck in neutral, averaging 2 goals a game for 7 games. Got to think at some point they're due for a breakout. And McDavid got 2 goals last game. Good sign for him. Now you need Hyman, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson. Go down the list of guys who 5-on-5 need to get going. We'll see. Their power play, of course. Now, last game was 25%, so that's a step in the right direction. And we will see if it continues tonight. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Stop in this week, and the 2025 XC90s and the XC90 plug-in hybrids are in. And, man, they look great. Ride great. Just a few little bells and whistles from Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. As we welcome in the host of the pre- and post-game show here on Sports 1440, Andrew Walker. And Walks, after the coach practices a different PP lineup, are you expecting him to start it? Do you think he'll go to the #1 unit, but eventually we'll see Arvidsson, Skinner there? What's your expectations for the man advantage tonight in how he distributes the ice time?
Yeah, it's a good question. Good to be on with you, by the way. I don't know Chris Knobloch's tendencies well enough. I don't know if any of us do, because since he's taken over, it's kind of been just like rainbows and puppy dogs and sunshine, right? They go all the way to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. I just have a real tough time, imagining a scenario in which they break up the statistically the best power play in a large sample size that we've seen in the NHL ever, right? Like it would be a pretty big departure. But you know what? I guess change isn't a bad thing. Bouchard's not going, puck's not going in for Hyman, maybe a little new life, but I can only speak if I was in that situation. And if I'm in that situation, if I'm coaching this team, I'm just not deviating after 7 games or whatever it is. I'm saying, I'm just trusting that unit who knows each other's tendencies so well that it'll come around. So, they know better than I do in the sense of what's in the room, what's in practice, what's in the meetings, what's in video. You need a spark. But for me, I just trust my group of basically Hall of Fame type players that they're going to figure it out themselves. That's what I would do anyway.
Yeah, and I get that argument. I also wonder if he's like, man, we just got to get more guys going. So, putting Arvidsson out there, like, I wonder if we see McDavid and Draisaitl stay out for close to the 150 and Hyman and Nugent Hopkins
right, and
switch.
You swap out. Yeah. I could see that. Honestly, like X's and O's wise, I would actually, I know he's struggling, but I would actually like to see Nuge handle the puck a little more. Like even the other night was so evident to me. So Jordan Staal breaks his stick, right? And so they have basically a 5-on-3 right because he broke it right off the faceoff. And they would not attack that side. And McDavid kept looking for the Leon one-timer, which is a great play. And it's going to be there. But to me, this group, what makes the power play so good is that you have so many options and you're able to do the Peyton Manning at the line, right? You can call an audible. And there, it was a bit of a lack of creativity. They didn't call an audible. They didn't attack that side. He kept looking for Draisaitl. And to me, I'd love to see Nuge handle the puck a little more. And all of a sudden you got McDavid, who's another decoy, and you can one touch it over. And then there's Bouchard up top. There's so many options. And I feel like they've kind of cut themselves off on the knees a little bit. And I guess, that happens to even the greatest power plays. It's still the NHL, but they seem to be a little stuck in neutral or pressing a little or however it is.
Looking at, I'm going to have Mark Giordano joining us, and we'll find out, kind of where he's at. Does he want to play still or not? Because, when I look at the orders, they're still searching for an option to play with Darnell Nurse. They've moved guys around. Stetcher, I think, is actually being the best. I kind of thought he would be the best just based on the, he's a right-hand shot, number one. Eberson only has 30 games. I wouldn't have put him in my second pair to start the season. And Dermott is kind of what Dermott is, and he's a left shot anyway. So I didn't like the fact that they had Nurse playing right side last game. I don't really love that. So I look at, other options. There's Shattenkirk, there's Giordano. When do you think the Oilers maybe go out there and sign another defenseman? Or maybe is the organization like, God, we've missed on a few here. Maybe our owner doesn't want us to send another guy to the minors.
I think it's 3 steps, right? For me is we all know that the plan is to add a bigger name. I mean, I would believe so, right? Like at the deadline or midway through the season, maybe around the Ekholm type of timeline. I think that's kind of the plan. In the meantime, I'm not in love with adding a Giordano or a Shattenkirk or whoever, because to me, there's some veteran presence there for sure, but it's kind of more of what you have, right? I don't think there's a number 3 or 4 hanging out there. It's all 5, 6s, and 7s. So to me, if unless they already are eating crow on Emberson or you got to, and I think Specs said the same thing on your show this week. You kind of got to see what you have. You got to play a guy like Ty Emberson, and if you got to get off the pot, that's fine, right? I don't know if the team said this or if it was just kind of all the nice articles that I read about Ty Emberson after the trade to make us all think, oh, maybe they got something there. Maybe they don't really think they have anything there. I'm not sure. But you don't have Philip Broberg anymore, right? We can debate all day when and how they mismanage that. It would be great to have Broberg there, but they don't. So to me, like, I think you kind of got to play the piss out of Emberson just to figure out what you got. Because, man, I covered Troy Stetcher in Vancouver. I love Troy Stetcher, but I know exactly what he is. Everyone in the NHL knows exactly what he is. There's not some hidden ceiling. Like, he's a guy that can play in your bottom pair. It can kill penalties. He's going to work his ass off, and that's great. But, like, he's not a top 2 pair guy. Like, he never will be. He'd be the first to tell you that. I kind of thought, honestly, he was destined for Europe a couple of years ago when he was on like a PTO in Arizona. But, he can help you in a certain role. And Emberson might be that exact same guy. But you got to be sure, right? You got to play these guys. And for me, I'm a bit of a Nurse, not an apologist, but I do believe, much like you, that Nurse is a pretty good player and pretty important to this team. And yeah, we all know what his salary is. And honestly, I don't really care about that. It is what it is. The whole team is under a salary cap, right? You switch him and Ekholm's number, maybe no one's complaining, all of that. But to me, it is on Nurse. Like, everyone talks about finding the right partner for him. Great defensemen, even good defensemen. Like, they make players around them better. They make their partners better. So, Nurse has to step up for this team, regardless of whether it's Stetcher or Emberson. But no, like, long-winded way of answering your question. I'm not a big fan of going after Giordano or Kevin Shattenkirk. I'm happy to wait until the guy that you really want comes available. If and when that happens.
Andrew Walker joins us. Oilers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Tristan Jarry sent home. The Penguins are 31st in goals against. Malkin and Crosby are having really good offensive years, but man, this team is getting, because their penalty kill is actually pretty good at 83%, but they are getting lit up 5-on-5. If the Oilers offense, if they can't wake up tonight against this team, I'm not sure they will for a while.
Yeah, tonight's the night, 100%. And I've said for a while, like, let's not freak out over 4 games or 6. Like, let's give them 10, right? Let's give them 10 games and see where we're at. But you're right. Like, this is not, I thought they were dangerous against Carolina. Obviously, they had more chances. McDavid scores a couple of goals. But tonight is the night. You are going to get looks. Can you bury them? I think a 6-5 game would be, it's Friday night, right? Like, it's going to be an inebriated crowd, a fun crowd. A 6-5 game would be great. I'm sure the Oilers would rather win about 6-1. But yeah, you're going to get looks tonight. I think it's time. I think it's time for Arvidsson. I think it's time for Nuge. I think it's time for Hyman. I totally agree with you. Pittsburgh's not going to come and shut it down tonight.
No, I don't think they will. It's also a Hall of Fame night. Craig McTavish, Randy Gregg going in. Now, the Oilers Hall of Fame, Randy said, hey, man, this should be for Hall of Fame players. I talked to Paul Coffey about it, and Paul Coffey's like, come on, saying you shouldn't be there is like saying you shouldn't have 5 Stanley Cups. You earn your Stanley Cups, and he earns it. And, the Oilers Hall of Fame was built not just for the great players. The great players have the jersey retirement, right? That kind of separates, the Hall of Famers from everybody else. But, you look at Greg, who probably downplayed his abilities. He's a hell of an athlete. Lots of guys who, said he probably was a better baseball player, crazy as it sounds, than a hockey guy. But obviously there was better potential as a hockey guy. I look at him and McTavish, and on a night where the Oilers really need offense, it's 2 guys who are pretty good defensively that are going up.
Yeah, doesn't that annoy you, guys like Greg, who they're just good at everything, and it's like oh, it's like my 3rd best sport, so I won a bunch of Stanley Cups. There was this kid out of Red Deer years ago. I don't remember if you remember the name. He was I want to say he was a 2nd round pick of the Flames. His name was Paul Manning, 2nd round pick of the Flames, like a 7th round pick of the Yankees, and then he was like, sports, I'm gonna be like a neurosurgeon, and I'm like, man, like, go to hell. You can't be good at everything. Like, you just can't do it. Well, it's like Dave Winfield, right? He was drafted into the NBA, the NFL as a tight end, and he's like, I guess I'll play baseball. And then he had 3,000 hits and was a Hall of Famer. But yeah, I think the Oilers, in terms of, this is a huge debate in a lot of cities, and I don't think it's a huge one here because teams struggle with this, right? Like, what numbers do you retire? What's your wall of honor or your private Hall of Fame? And the Oilers with their dynasty, like, it's just perfect, right? Because the limits are absolutely set. You want your name in the rafters, like, you got to be a Hall of Famer, right? Like McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to be up there one day. But like, man, I have all the time in the world for Ryan Smith I love Doug Waite, right? He's my favorite player growing up. Those guys feel like their numbers aren't going to get retired. And there's no debate on it. Everybody's okay with it. And other places that like have struggled with, like, there's no Stanley Cups, and like Vancouver's a great example. There's concessions get made, and every player, there's this debate. Like, they just put Luongo in the Ring of Honor, and then some people are debating, but his jersey should be retired. He's the best goalie in franchise history. Yeah, but he never won a cup, and he choked in the final, and right. And so it's really nice to be in this city where, like, there's just no debate. You want your number retired forever, you got to be in the Hall of Fame, and everybody else, like, yeah, it's you're fighting to be in the Ring of Honor. That's it. And the guy like, Nugent Hopkins will be an interesting one if he's the all-time games played leader, I guess. But like guys like Hyman or guys like, I don't know, Bouchard, like, it's just going to be an Oilers Hall of Fame. Like, there's no debate on should their numbers be retired. I love that. It's so simple.
Yeah, well, Nugent Hopkins, I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player, so he'd be in their Hall of Fame, but his jersey won't be going up there. Just because you're right.
My point is, he'd be like if he retires with, like, the most games played in Oilers history, and knock on wood, maybe wins a cup. Like, he'd be the only guy maybe to challenge that. But I'm just getting ahead of it, like devil's advocate at this point.
You look at the Oilers and the forward lines tonight. Podkolzin moves up. I thought his last few games have been his best games. Obviously, there's only 7 games to go on, but that Dallas game, they really created. We saw his size and his speed, taking the puck to the net a little bit more. Now you play with Draisaitl, and there's the old adage, hey, just get your puck, stick on the ice, go to the net, some will go in off of you. And then Skinner with Henrique. Like, Skinner and Draisaitl, they still at times, they look a little bit out of sorts, right? So I can see why. Like, I know they only played 1 game together, but at some point I want to see Jeff Skinner with Connor McDavid. It doesn't have to be now, but at some point I want to see Jeff Skinner on a consistent basis with Connor McDavid. What about you?
Yeah, last year I remember, late in the year, they were mixing things up, and Knobloch's mixing things up, and people complained a little bit, and, why would you go against this or something that works or whatever? And the point was, it's like, listen, they're going to make playoffs, right? Like, after their dreadful start, they kind of clinched it. And it's like the important thing for this process is knowing all the potential combinations and who can play with who and what does it look like. It's a little different right now because they're searching for something that works more so than anything. The big one, the one that they've never broken up, has been the Hyman McDavid.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily know if it's time, but also, he's done 7 games without a drop, right? But with Skinner and Arvidsson, it's weird because the returns early have been. I think Skinner's been okay. I think he's been pretty good, and at the same time, your record is just not where you want. And I guess it's the dare to dream thing too, because when you think of, like, well, Hyman's due, and Draisaitl's due, and Nuge is due, and Arvidsson's due. These are all great players. I'm looking forward to the day where everybody's going. Because in theory, this forward group is going to be unstoppable, right? But we just have yet to see it. So, yeah, in the meantime, Skinner has some finish. I will say that. And it's more of a skilled finish than Hyman possesses. Like, Hyman's a dog. He goes to the net. It goes off his shin pads. He's got a strong stick. Skinner's a little different, right? He can finish under the bar. And all those chances that Hyman's had, maybe if Skinner has those chances, some of them go in the early part of the season, and we're talking about the Oilers being, 4-2-1, not 2-4-1. Who knows?
Yeah, no, it's true. And Hyman, you would think he's due based on the amount of chances he gets, and considering he's missed the net on 14 times of his 30 shot attempts, which is infinitely higher than he's used to, like double what he's done the last few seasons. Eventually, some of those are going to start hitting the net, and then they're going to go in. So, Walks, go ahead.
If you're a betting man, I like to dabble occasionally. Here's my tip: if anyone's on Play Alberta, not yet, but when Hyman scores, this is tried, tested, and true. When Hyman scores, he's going to score the next game as well. 2 in a row. That's how it goes with these streaky goal scorers.
Walks, will tune in for the pregame show at 6:00 tonight. To yourself, Donovan Paulson, Landon Ferraro, and more. Look forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Greg.
There you go. That's Andrew Walker our pre and post game host here on Sports 1440, and they're on right after the conclusion of our show at 6 o'clock. And then, of course, they'll be back Sunday afternoon when the Oilers start their 4-game road trip. And I don't know why I can't. They're in Detroit first. So they're in Detroit at so the pregame show will be Sunday at 3 o'clock, and then they're into Columbus on Monday. We'll do the pregame show together, Walks and I. So it should be a lot of fun. 2:40, take a quick break. Lori-Ann Muenzer joins us next. We got Mark Giordano, Steve McIntyre, Paul Coffey on a loaded Positive Friday edition of the Gregor Show. Also, we had Mike come in at 200. Big Baby, as he likes to be called, is in at 300 for the tickets tonight. Oilers, Penguins, sweet seats where the Oilers attack twice. It is a Hall of Fame night. Greg McTavish also going up. Crosby, Malkin, David, Draisaitl. I'll say this. I don't expect this to be an under game. This game's got overwritten all over it when you look at the offense of these two teams. The Penguins come in with the 31st ranked team defense, allowing 4.25 goals per game. God, if the Oilers can't score tonight, they can never score. So we'll see if they do it. We'll return from the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton. When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an HVAC technician.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to install furnaces. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian and $5 Pink Whitney shots plus 60-cent wings. Play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. Gregor, Halley with you. Sports 1440. Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. It is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. And guess what? Tonight, the Lotto Max. Ooh, baby. you know what? Somebody in Alberta is due to win. Might as well be you. So get your tickets at playalberta.ca. $27 million. The Dave Semenko, George Larac lottery for Lotto Max. Now, let's talk a little sports, a little mental game, as we're joined, as always, every Friday by Olympic gold medalist. Also, she is now a mental training coach, Lori-Ann Muenzer. Lori-Ann, how you doing?
Doing awesome. I was thinking about 27 million.
Oof,
and going,
that'd be nice,
what would you do with 27 million? I got a couple ideas of what
Mhm.
I do.
Yeah, I think if I won, I would want to have a plan first, right? And be like, hey, this is what I need. Talk to have a good financial advisor, somebody to chat with. I definitely would. I'd help a few in my family for sure, and probably go on a trip. I guess that would be it. But I'm not a big I wouldn't buy I couldn't see me buying a super expensive car because I wouldn't really want to drive it. So I don't know.
You need a track or something for that.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be. I don't know. It'd be it's one of those things I haven't put too much thought into. Probably because I probably should. I think it could be a mindset. Maybe I should think I'll win, then I will win, because I've never really thought about it. So
Well, it's sort of like a bucket list, right? But then I was thinking it's similar to sports. If you're just playing the game, you're just playing the game. But if you're getting really specific about it, then you've got the target. You can start to see it. You start to shape it.
Well, some people study it, and I was reading in some of the old lotteries.
The lotto?
Yeah, there's people that you saw in the States. There's people who before they changed some of the rules, they looked at the math and looked at the numbers, and they were able to win the lottery multiple times. And some of those state lotteries in the U.S. We've read a book on a while back, and I was like, oh my goodness. But then you also read about lots of people who win and blow all the money.
Totally. They're actually worse off than before they actually won, which is just, it's crazy. But again, it's what are we thinking about? What are we doing?
So I would say one thing, though, for sure. I've always said, if we win, we're having a party, probably multiple. That would be, share the wealth, as we say. We'd have some fun parties. That would be good.
That would be good.
Yeah,
definitely.
Now one of Canada's best speed skaters came out and was just talking about, and I think he's the world champ in the 1,000 meters.
Yes.
Right. And he was talking about the mental game, individual ones. You talk to athletes who play team games, and inside the team is still an individual game, but it is very different. Kind of well, maybe it isn't. So let me word the question. Is it very different in how you have to approach mentally for an individual sport to a team sport?
I don't think so. I think the fundamentals are still the same. You still have your base. You still have what are you going to do for you, which is the me part or the I, but then there becomes the we part. So then how do you fit your piece of the puzzle into the total piece of the puzzle to be able to move it forward, move the puck down into the net or the ball into the hoop, whatever it is, as a collective. And it's not that hard, but I think players put more pressure on themselves, and that's what screws things up, is just you're overthinking it. And it's just, look, relax, just do what you normally do. Because part of the thing is with practice is to make it, what's the word I'm looking for here? Instinctive. You're looking for all of your moves to be instinctive so that you're not shooting over the net. You're actually shooting and hitting the net, right? So that it becomes automatic versus, oh, I've got to think about it. Because if you start thinking about it when you're racing, when you're competing, when you're playing, it's never going to go the way you want it to go.
Yeah. And the other thing is, when you prepare as an individual sport, all of everything falls on you. All the success, no, not all. Obviously, you have training coaches and all that. But in the moment, it's all about your performance. In a team sport, you can do everything well. And if one of your teammates makes an error, your team can lose. And you just accept that. And it's okay because that's what you signed up for. But I have to think it's quite different because sometimes you can say, the team lost, but man, I played really well. And I want to continue to play well because in theory, if I do my job and play well, our odds of winning improve. But it has to be a challenge at times for people to to be a good teammate when
Mhm.
they're playing well and their teammates aren't.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the dynamics, right? It's like the dynamic duo, the dynamic trio. And sometimes there are those harmonies where it's just clicking, it's just gelling, and it's like you're unstoppable. You talked about the six defensemen, right? When Randy Gregg was playing together.
Yeah.
There's certain combinations that work really good. And when they aren't working really good, you know what your job is? To bring the other player or players
Yes.
up. And most athletes are unaware of that part. And it's just, they're not aware that even when things are going great, you still are bringing people up. There's an energy with it. But then when things are going south or they're not going where you want them to go, you still have to bring the collective up with you. I mean, that's part of leadership, but it's not spelt out. And that's the most interesting part right there.
So when you see his comments about, what he wants to focus on, and he's an elite level athlete.
You're
right?
talking William?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, what do you, when you listen to him, are they going about it? Because there's athletes who want to do it. Are they going about it the right way?
I think everybody is going to do it a little bit different, and it's going to be their way. The basics are still all the same. It's, what we were just talking about. Do you have a plan?
Right.
What is the vision? And then can you literally walk it forward to somebody else and reverse it, rewind it, and walk it through them again? Or if they get stuck in a certain point, can you make it absolutely crystal clear so that they can understand and then go out and do it? Like I walked my flying 200 meter from Athens through for a bunch of clients that I had. And they were just like, oh my God, I was actually going around the track, high up on the track, kicking it when you kicked it out of turn 4. Like they were so right there. And I was doing it. And as I was speaking, my eyes were closed and my hands were going like crazy. But I was totally in the moment and I knew exactly where I was because they didn't understand the visualization part. And you can do it for anything, like seriously, anything. Radio, television, sports, a meeting that you've got, maybe a conversation with your partner, your kids, that sort of thing. And if you can see it, I can tell you it's going to go smoother. It'll go a little bit better. There's going to be the curveballs where it goes off the rail because you didn't think about something or there was a third or fourth or fifth option. But when you start bringing that in, there's a feeling that goes with it, Jason, that there's a sit, there's a stand, there's an energy to it. And if a person is slouched and they're just blah, blah, you know that they're not on their game literally. And you sometimes literally have to flick that switch and turn you on to be able to go out and do whatever it is that you're going to do.
And we got a few text questions. You've always said there's no real age for when people start, but I do want to ask you this. My daughter is really struggling with confidence and seems to be for quite some time. She's one of the more skilled players, but her confidence doesn't seem to be there for at least over a year. Any advice on how to bring confidence back? By the way, she's 16. From Stan.
Absolutely, Stan. Great question. And what I would do is it like a personal social thing, or is this a sport thing, or is it both? Because confidence comes from belief. The belief is the root, because if you've got belief, boom, like it doesn't matter what happens. People will bounce off of you. You'll finish things that seemed impossible. But if you don't have the belief, game over, right? So what do? And that's where the visualization comes through. Can you walk yourself through, a social event? I mean, networking has always been a challenge. I learned a couple of things and it's like, oh, when I pause, stop and think about it, see myself going through it, it becomes easier. You can do that with anything. In sport, has she written out and does she know the routine, the drill, the process?
Right.
Do you know the side cards, the stuff that's going to come at you sideways? Okay, I've got to go to option B. I've got to go to option C. Because that will give you the confidence of, oh, that's all I have to do? Yeah, that's all you have to do. Pick a partner, a playing partner, or maybe the coach, and start bouncing it back and forth and go, I throw you the ball. Okay, now where are you throwing it? You're throwing it beyond my reach, so I'm going to have to stretch. So what am I going to do? And it's just, you play those things, but your pen, not the typewriter, the pen is your biggest and best asset, because there's a connection with your brain, your mind, and how you feel.
So writing out things rather than typing them on a computer.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. You remember the little blue book, the moleskin book that I brought from 20 years ago? I studied 22 women who were in the World Cups that were going to go to the Olympics. Only 12 were going to go. I had to figure out leading, how would I beat them? If I was following, how was I going to get from back position to forward front position and beat them across the finish line? My pen and a paper was like the best tool ever because I could write it out and go, that doesn't work. That's never going to work. And then I would pause and think and go, what would work? What's the alternate, right? What are my options? And I'd write that out because you're in the moment, you see it, you go away, you forget. But the book was my playbook so that I could refer back to it when I was training, but I wasn't racing. And I could put me back in those situations.
Now, for the younger generation, though, because they're kind of grown up on iPads, phones, it's different. So for them, if they write that out on their phone in a note thing forever, it's still different.
There, you know what? You close your phone, boom, it's gone. You lose power, you lose the battery power, boom, it's gone. I still have my book, Jason, from 20 years ago.
And you can carry it with it. Okay, I see.
Yeah. And you know what? There's a connection with your hands. That's the tactile part that you just go, oh, remember, like if I gave one of my athletes my book, they would go, what's this? And they start looking through it. They're going to start getting ideas of what's possible. What can they do? And then you look at it and you can pull it out anytime you want. I used to carry it in my back pocket. I used to put it in my tool bag. So it was with me all the time. And if I had a doubt, boom, I could squish it. I pull out my book. Oh yeah. And then I close my eyes. I put myself in the race start line and I take the first 2 turns and boom.
It's kind of like journaling essentially, right?
It is, but it's way better.
Yeah.
It's like pictures, but that's the other thing.
Yeah.
You could also draw it out and use images or, you know, the kids today, they use emojis.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing.
And I think the biggest question is if somebody's battling a lack of confidence, what are they doing to because work harder doesn't necessarily work. And what does that
But there's
even
no
mean?
picture. There's no picture with work harder.
And there's no goal.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like when you've got a lack of confidence, there's a fear of something. In our conscious mind, it's worry and doubt. Fear is a feeling. You go up to the start line and it's just like, oh, you crump. You start to curl your shoulders inwards versus standing up nice and tall. And the fear part is a feeling. The opposite of fear is faith. It's what you believe in.
Yeah.
And you can tell yourself a lie so often that you believe it. I'm not smart enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not good enough. But what if we did the opposite and it was you wrote out, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm smart, I'm quick, I can respond to everything. Life always works out great for me. I mean, those are little affirmations. At first, it's going to feel really weird and uncomfortable because you've never done it before. But when you start doing it over and over again, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm powerful. I'm starting to get goosebumps already. You do that 10 times,
yeah,
boom. You do that 20 times, I tell you, you're going to be hydroplaning, literally.
Yeah, makes a difference.
It really does.
Lori-Ann, great stuff. We appreciate it as always. Have yourself a great week.
And you too. Take care.
That is Lori-Ann Muenzer. Some great advice. So hopefully that helps, Stan. And draw the picture. Get out there, set a goal, and slowly work towards it. Coming up after 3 o'clock, Mark Giordano will join us here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. But first, let's get to the comment. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Big deals are happening right now at Fountain Tire. You want to save up to $200 on Titans or Goodyears or Coopers, you can, because you know what? Harvest is just around, but it ends November 1st. Stop in at Fountain Tire or book your appointment at fountaintire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Game day, Edmonton Oilers in action tonight, taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Puck drop in this one just after 7 o'clock. We also got the Preds and the Blackhawks. Devils host the Islanders, and the Sens travel to Vegas, taking on the Golden Knights. CFL Week 21 action. The Edmonton Elks will wrap up their season as they host the Argos. Kickoff 7:30 there. At 5 o'clock, you got the Ottawa Redblacks hosting the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the association. Raptors taking on the Sixers. Tip-off just after 5. Also Nets in Orlando. Cavs host the Pistons. Pacers taking on the Knicks. And you got the Warriors in Utah. Major League Baseball World Series Game 1 goes tonight just after 6 o'clock. Dodgers and Yankees meeting from Los Angeles. The local teams, the Oil Kings in Everett, taking on the Silver Tips just after 8 o'clock. They'll be in Portland tomorrow. In the AJ, you got Bonneville taking on Lloyd. GP host Grand Prairie. Calgary's in Drayton Valley and Fort Mac up against Olds. In the BCHL, Spruce Grove's in Blackfalds. And you also have Sherwood Park Crusaders hosting West Kelowna. Both those games starting at 7 o'clock. The Golden Bears out in Vancouver taking on UBC at 8. In town, the Pandas hosting UBC down at the Drake. That starts at 7. Got the Golden Bears in Regina taking on the Rams. Golden Bears basketball playing at Grant Mac, taking on Lethbridge at 5. At 7 o'clock, the Griffins take on Trinity Western. Griffins hockey taking on the University of Manitoba. On the men's side, for the women, they're on the road taking on the Bisons out in Manitoba. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by 3-time All-Star NHL defenseman Mark Giordano and radio host Brian Metzer, and we'll hear Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
You'll see us digging holes. No, we're not looking for buried treasure. You'll see us digging trenches as well. And no, we're not building a fort. We're GS Construction, and you'll see us in neighborhoods throughout the Edmonton area. So what are we doing? GS Construction provides rehabilitation and upgrade services to Edmonton and surrounding communities. Some of our underground utilities have served us for years and are past their useful lives. We replace them, so they're around for years to come. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there, now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Marathon, the Original, and the Orangesicle, made with oranges, orange sorbet, and vanilla frozen yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com. Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Gateway Toyota treats us like we're precious gems.
Because that's what we are.
Every vehicle purchased from Gateway Toyota includes enrollment into their GEM program. It stands for Gateway Exclusive Membership.
And it gives you 5-year access to over $2,500 in benefits.
Free oil changes.
Free tire and windshield repair.
Free car washes.
Even an annual detailing.
You'll also get special discounts, trade-in bonuses, and referral rewards.
I feel like a gem.
At Gateway Toyota, just off Calgary Trail at Ellerslie Road.
Have you heard of anything more chilling than frozen beef? Until November 3rd, get an always fresh, never frozen Dave single from Wendy's for only $4. Nothing scary about that. Taxes extra at participating Wendy's until November 3rd. Terms and conditions apply.
I couldn't ignore it. Everyone kept saying, "You look so tired."
Are you getting enough sleep, dear?
Hon, you look like you need some rest.
But I'm not tired. I guess I just look that way.
But you don't have to. I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I provide skin-refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance. Don't worry, we won't drastically change how you look, but we will help you look as energetic as you feel. Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 Select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantor. We offer sale maintenance equipment. Order today at cantor.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock. Welcome back. It is the Jason Gregor Show. Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. And if you're there, use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play this month of October. Good luck. PlayAlberta.ca. As earlier today, as we were waiting outside the orders room, typical, it's an optional skate, so some guys are on the ice. There was only a few forwards, but the entire defense corps as a group elected, they were all going to go out, but the only forwards, I think, were Jan, Mark, Podkolzin, and Ryan, and that's normally the case. There's not a lot of guys who take optionals, especially when they've had a lot of practice time this week, but Darnell Nurse normally takes optionals all the time, so he's coming off the ice, and Steve McIntyre walks by, hulking human being, and he's carrying his hockey bag. And I've always got along with Steve. We get along great. Good guy. Always big smile on his face. And he's in town because, of course, played for the Oilers, played for the Penguins. So I thought it'd be a great time to come to town. It's also Craig McTavish night. And right, has a special place. Mac T gave his first chance to play in the NHL. So it's great. But Darnell Nurse, who's a pretty big person himself, is on skates. And him and McIntyre are talking. It's like eye to eye. And that's when you're like, God, McIntyre is a huge man. Huge man. And Darnell Nurse, I can see him as a, geez, you still look strong as bleep. And away you go. So I must be throwing some bales out in the field in Saskatchewan as Steve McIntyre joins us now. Big Mac, how you doing?
I'm good, Gregor. It was good seeing you, ugly mug, today.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I haven't been throwing as many bales as you have lately, so I'll just have to take that one in stride. How is farm life treating you?
Oh man, it's. I'm telling you, I'm right in the mix with everything right now. Between that and working full time, I'm enjoying it. It's something that I always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. So, it's great. Now, living the life.
Now, because I know you were big into, like, are you breaking horses at all there? Like, what are you farming? Is it more cows, or you got more farmland going with hay and wheat and barley, etc.?
Well, Dad had a bunch of grain land that he leased out. Like, Dad got sick here a couple of years ago, and then was it back in 2019? So he leased all the grain land out. Okay. And then he just had surgery. He open heart surgery here 6 weeks ago. So I kind of got the role of the head cowboy, feed boy, whatever you want to call me, for the next year or so. So he's on the mend. So I enjoy it. We got we got some cows, and we're just doing that full time, working full time. So it's I'm busy. I finally got to come up here. Like I said, I wanted to come up, and what a perfect time to come was obviously my old teams, both on Pittsburgh and with the Oilers, and then obviously Mac T's night. Like we couldn't have timed it any better. So I'm pretty fortunate, pretty lucky, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you come in, of course, you started out with the Oilers, then you're in Florida, and then of course back in Edmonton, and then you finished in Pittsburgh before playing a few more years in the minors. What do you remember about Sidney Crosby when you joined that team in 11-12? I know he'd been a little bit banged up at times, but he was obviously, when he had just come back, I think, it started to be healthy again. And him and Malkin, that was kind of right in their prime years.
Two of the best. Well, I mean, Sid is by far the most genuine person that I think I've ever met in my entire life, without a doubt, in the hockey world. Like I said, it was when I kind of had an idea that I was, we were going to try to make this work. I texted him right away, like 5 minutes later, boom, he texted right back, said, was asking for a number, for the lady that takes care of the players and kind of sets everything up. And I wasn't asking him for anything, but I mean, he didn't have to text me back, but that's just the kind of guy he is. Like, he's just a salt of the earth, good-hearted, good person. And I think a lot of that goes to the fact how he was raised, obviously. And then obviously with, spending however many years with Mario and kind of, learning the ropes, per se with Mario and how, what it was to be expected of a player of his caliber. So he's an unbelievable person.
Yeah, unbelievable guy. Obviously pretty good player too. And you look at, it's like 12 years ago when you played with him, and here he is. And last year he just had, at third most goals of his career at 36 years of age. And, him and Malkin's off to a great start. So is Sidney Crosby. Like, those guys, we see it in the greats of the greats now, that they can maintain that high level a lot longer. Like, he's almost as good now as he was a decade ago.
I looked at him today and I was just like, holy smokes, he's in better shape now than I've ever seen him when I played with him. And I kind of laughed when I was kind of riding shotgun for him. Everybody was asking me about Sid and what it was like, and I said, well, I said it wasn't. We were kind of on the fifth line. Obviously, he wasn't playing at that particular time because he was hurt. But I used to kid to people. I said, yeah, I'm not on Sid's line. Sid's on my line. He's my centerman. He's on my line, the fifth line.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had a good chuckle about that. So it was, like I said, he's an unbelievable person, and that organization, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from Edmonton and the opportunity to give me here, but it was such an unbelievable organization from top to bottom with the people, and I think that goes in part with with Mario and what kind of person he is, and what he's giving back to Sid and the rest of the guys. So.
And you mentioned Craig McTavish, and Steve McIntyre joins us. You come in. Craig McTavish was the first coach to give you a chance in the National Hockey League, Steve. And obviously, you got a few pretty good memories out of that one, no question. But kind of, what do you remember, and what stood out for you for McTavish, the coach, for you specifically?
Well, as a player, obviously, everybody's heard my spiel ever since I first came here. I was an Edmonton Oilers fan right from the word the word go. I had my Oiler jersey, and obviously, you grow up watching the likes of Gretzky and Curry and, all those great players. And Mac T was just the lunch pail, meat and potatoes, big draws, big penalty kills, big, shot blocks. Like, he was just a hard-working type guy. And I always thought, I was like, you know what? If Mac T, if I could work as hard as Mac T or even come close, I'll be all right. And when I got to play for him, that's all he expected from me. Like, Mac T, like, he's a man of he's not a man of a lot of words, but it was just expected that we came to play every night, and that's the way he played the game. And that's kind of when I was switched, and that's the way I tried to play for him, because I had that respect for him, because not only I watched him as a fan, but now I'm getting to play for him as has him as my coach. And like I told him, we were up in Whitecourt, and I was chirping him about his drive, and he's like, hey, where's the pin? I said, who gives a crap? I said, just hit the frickin' ball. And it's kind of come to before it was a coach player, and now it's a we're kind of on the same or similar, playing field. And now I've kind of gotten to know him at a different level, and he's just such a nice person. He's just a nice man. And I have got tremendous respect for him.
You also had Tom Rennie, and when you came back with your second time, in Edmonton. And, that was the year. I still remember Jordan Eberle and Taylor Hall when I spoke to them. They're both rookies. That was the 2010-2011 season. And everybody remembers the home opener, season opener. Edmonton beats Calgary 4-0. Eberle scores, what turned out to be the goal of the year on opening night, funny enough. And then there was also, the huge tilt between yourself and the Vannons. And I just remember talking to Jordan Eberle and Taylor Hall later, and they were both like, oh my God, like I was in the NHL and like you see huge men, and it was just different than what either one had ever experienced in junior. But even like it was kind of different that year. When you came in 08-09, the team was still, I think they finished with 85, 87 points. We're close to the playoffs. But the 10-11 season was like, the first real year of, this is going to be a tough rebuild time now for Edmonton. How different was it for you when you had so many more younger guys and all of a sudden Steve McIntyre is kind of looked upon a little bit more as a veteran?
You know what? It was definitely a learning curve for me. It taught me a lot about myself in the sense that, I'd played like as an older rookie my first year at 28 years old or whatever I was. And then coming back the second time, the one thing I wish I would have done better is taken maybe a little bit more of that role, by, maybe taking the bull by the horns a little bit more than I did. But, like I said, at the same time, trying to stay in the lineup and make sure that you're focused when your time comes and trying to make sure you've got the guys' back. That's, it kind of plays hand in hand, but at the same time, it's a little bit, it's a slippery slope because it's, you want to go out there and do the best, and you want to be wired for sound, but you still have to maintain that composure and not, take stupid penalties and to where you're putting yourself down. And, there's some days where I wish I would have, like I said, maybe been a little bit more aggressive, but I've always been a guy I don't go looking for it. I never did go looking for it, but by God, if there was something there, I would take care of business. And maybe that year I wish I would have maybe pushed the envelope a little bit more, but at the same token, I'm still trying to figure out the NHL as a whole in itself. So, it's still a new thing for me, but like I said, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was a long year. It was, the first game we thought, man, we're going to be okay. And then, it was welcome to the real world, boys.
Steve McIntyre joins. Yeah, it was, for the crowd, they couldn't have had anything better. They're thinking, wow, this is going to be great. And obviously one game out of 82 illustrates how long of a season it is. When you look back at your time, Steve, the thing that I always respected about you as we got to know each other was and I remember talking to guys like Ethan Morrow and Alish Hemsky and others, and they said, man, when McIntyre came in 08-09, and, the team was competitive, it wasn't a playoff team, but it was competitive, but just your excitement, like every day, like, and no joke, every day was like the greatest day of your life being in the NHL because you had battled, in the ECHL and the UHL, and heck, you're playing in the WHAZ. I don't even know what the hell the WHA2 is with the Jacksonville Barracudas, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Like you had, you'd been down in the lower minor pros in a job that's very difficult to do to try to work your way up to the National Hockey League. When you got there, it was just like, man, this is unbelievable. When you look like how, even though you had a real tough job, like, can you describe just why it was so fun for you? Not the job, but just being in the NHL.
I mean, I was telling the guys on the bench today, I said, you know what? I said, if you can't have fun playing hockey, I said, what's the point? Like I was legitimately having fun playing a game that I grew up playing. No, don't get me wrong. There was times where it was just like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? My knuckles are all bashed up. Like it's just, beat up, all the things. But, I go back to how I was raised. And the little thing that happened in Red Deer with, Brent Sutter, and I've told this story before, and it kind of went back to, what, here's an opportunity, go for it as far as you can, take it as far as you can, do the best you can, and when it's all said and done, can you look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, you know what, have I done it all? Have I looked under every rock? Have I used every, piece of whatever I can think of to make my dream? Like, when I was a kid, my dream was to play in the NHL. I mean, I got to live my dream. And I'm very, very grateful and very thankful for that. I've set out to do, I've done everything that I've set out to in my life to do. And that was one of the biggest, probably one of the hardest, is to play in the NHL, let alone play for the team that you grew up cheering for. And I mean, it took me, when I retired, it took me a long time to really accept that, in a sense that I wish I could, played a little bit more. I wish I could have done this a little bit more. I wish I could have done that a little bit more. And it took me a long time to realize that, hey, you know what? You were one of a select group of players to play at the highest level in the world. And you should be proud of that. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am extremely proud of that. And I'm extremely thankful for the opportunity that, Mac T and the Oilers give me and taking a chance on me and, picking me off waivers from Florida and saying, you know what, we're going to give this guy a chance. And like I told Mac T, I said, I'll never forget that. And I said, because of that, I was ready to go through a brick wall for you. Like if you just said, hey, I need you to go through this brick wall, I'd have been still there with a friggin' sledgehammer or whatever needed to be done. So, I'm very grateful, very thankful. And it's such like I said, Edmonton definitely has changed since the first time I was here, looking back now, but it's like I said, it's like home, it's like coming home.
Steve McIntyre joins us in town tonight for a Hall of Fame for Craig McTavish and Randy Gregg, which involves two of the teams that he played for, the Oilers and the Penguins. Visiting earlier today with some of the Penguin guys. Obviously, there's no one on the Oilers team anymore that you played with. It's currently around. There's obviously some people in the organization. But, Steve, you had a job that I think most fans very much respect because most people couldn't do it, even if they wanted to. It's a tough job to do. And you always said, hey, you know what? And then maybe it's days I probably could have been more aggressive, but it wasn't me. You look at what was though, like when you look back at the time when you got claimed on waivers and then you play your first game, it's a season opener. And there you go. Like, was that your aha NHL moment, or did you have a different welcome to the NHL moment later on that rookie season?
My first game actually in Anaheim, George Peros looked at me and he says, hey, big boy, congratulations on your first NHL game. Because George and I had played against each other in the minors.
Okay.
Like he was in Manchester and I was in Hartford. And we'd had a couple of rumbles. And, George was such a warrior. Like I said, he's probably one of the toughest guys technically. But anyway, when he tapped me on the shin pad, we lined up in Anaheim and I'm playing left wing. He's playing right wing. And he said, congratulations, big fella. I'm proud of you. This is special. That was like, holy cow. This is like, I made it. Like I'm playing in my first NHL game, like my first league NHL game. Like it's going to go down in the record books as Steve McIntyre won an NHL game or whatever.
Yeah.
That I could say I fulfilled my dream. And, and I've told this story before. I was in Providence. Like I had retired like 2 or 3 different times, or I think it was 2 times for sure. Cause I was just like, you know what, I'm done. I just got married. I had a little one. I was trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do after hockey when I was still playing the minors. And I ended up signing 1 year with Providence, and I was skating around. And they wanted me the year before, and I said no. I said I'm not getting called up. I don't want to go. If you guys are interested in me, sign me. Throughout the summer, I said I'll get my butt in gear, get back in shape, and come to camp ready to go. Well, 2 weeks before training camp, I hadn't heard nothing. A week and a half before training camp, they call and say, "Hey, would you want to come to training camp?" And I'm like, "Sure." This is where I'm at. I'm 280 pounds. I'm fat and out of shape, and I haven't been skating because I kind of was doing some other stuff. And no, we want you to come. We've got skating coaches. We've got this. We've got Doug Smith. My fight coach of the team. I'm like, okay, this is cool. So anyway, went up there, and I'm not really I'm not really expecting anything. I just go up there and give it a shot, give it a try. And I'll never forget. And like I said, he's like my hockey dad, Paul Vincent. He was at the Blackhawks and the Panthers and the Bruins, and he's a skills and skating coach. And, we're skating around, and I, like I said, I've told this story before, so I apologize if people have heard it. But we're skating around, and Mr. B comes up and he says, Macker, what do you want to do? I said, well, Mr. B, I'd like to play in the NHL. And he said, well, Macker, he says, he kind of laughed and scoffed at me. He's like, Mac, I got a better chance of dating Meg Ryan than you do playing in the NHL. And I'm like, oh, he kind of took the wind out of my sails. But of course, that's just the way he is. He was a Boston, they call them math holes. That was Mr. V to a T. And then he said, he paused. And he said, you know what, Macker? He said, I'll make you a deal. He says, you come out, work with me every day before and after practice that I'm here. And, I'll do my damnedest to try to make that dream happen. He said, but the minute you're late or that you don't show up, we're done, So he committed to me. That was the first coach that ever done that.
Okay.
And then I committed to him, and I said, yep, you know what, Mr. V, I want it. I want to do it. And then you throw in the mix Doug Smith. Well, Doug Smith, he was the movie Goon was loosely based on his story. And we have similar stories, but he was more of a brawler, scrapper, whatever, but he was a student of the game. Like he was a student of the pugilistic side of it. And long story short, I started working with Dougie. Well, I started grooming those skills. When I'm working with Mr. V, working on my skills, my skating and my, my handling puck and passing, my shooting, stuff like that. My hockey side. Well, now Doug's working with me on my other side of my game. Well, now they're starting to come together. And now it's like, now I'm starting to have like one of the best years I ever had playing hockey. Like I wasn't taking a whole lot of minors. And I mean, I was doing good. Like I had some confidence, some swagger. And then, that was kind of the start of it. But if it wasn't for those two guys giving me that opportunity, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you. Like that's just the reality of it. And I mean, obviously, you gotta have the want to. Like that was the one thing about me is you challenge me and I'll be like, oh, okay. There's a little bit of fight in this dog, and especially when I'm challenged or like I don't know the word quit. Like I'm a blue ear, like I'm like a blue ear dog. Like you gotta literally beat me off or like with a stick or shoot me because, like I said, I don't quit, and that's my family. That's the way I was raised. Like once we start something, we finish it. Like it's hard for us to quit. And, I think that with all of those things put in together, I think that, that was the biggest reason why I even had a sniff in the NHL at all, or even in hockey. Like there's numerous times where I was shaking my head trying to figure out, like, why am I still here? Why am I playing this game? Why, like, I'm not getting anywhere. And then all of a sudden the stars aligned and next thing you know, like, I'll never forget Jack Birch. He was one of the guys in Florida when I got put on waivers. I was in Rochester, and he called me back to the office halfway through practice and said, hey, you got picked up on waivers. And this is how naive and I am, is like, well, what's that mean? Like I was not necessarily a student of the game in an aspect of knew the stats or how everything worked. Like I had to ask him, I said, I'm not trying to be stupid here, but like, what does that mean? And he said, well, you're signed with Edmonton. You're going to Edmonton. And I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me? He's like, no, you're going to Edmonton. We put you on waivers. They picked you up. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And then the first game in Calgary, Jimmy Vandermeer, one of my good buddies, like him and I, we had a disagreement. I forget how many years previous to that. And I never forgot it. And, it was just one of them things that just happened. And next thing you know, the GM and Mac Tier saying, hey, you should probably find a place. And then it was just like, holy moly, like this is really happening. This is cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Like pulling that jersey over my shoulders my shoulder pads for the first time in Calgary. Like Chopper Ethan Moore was sitting there, and I had tears in my eyes. Like I was just like, you know, I still get a little bit emotional about it because it was finally the aha moment. I guess if you really want to call it that was probably I've finally done it. I finally, you know, I'm pulling the Oiler jersey over my shoulder pads, and I'm looking at the crest, and I'm just like in tears. And Chopper looked at me and said, "You know what?" He says, "If more guys on this team had what you had, we'd be winning a cup this year or whatever." Something kind of like that. But it was pretty cool.
Oh.
It's pretty cool.
I can imagine, man. Lots of people, you know, to work is that hard to achieve a dream, Steve. It's great. And I can understand why you're here tonight. The Penguins and the Oilers obviously meant a lot to you, as did Craig McTavish, to give you that shot. And lo and behold, some great memories. It's always good to catch up with you, and look forward to talking to you again soon, my man. Have a great day.
Thanks, Gregor. It was a pleasure. We'll do it again.
You betcha. That's Steve McIntyre, man. Like, he's so genuine. Like, this many years later, he tells that story just about how, and when he's talking about the first game, it's a preseason game that he pulled the jersey on. That's a preseason game in Calgary when he fought Vandermeer. That was the preseason, because of course the home opener was the regular season against Evans, but that was a few years later. But his first one was Jimmy Vandermeer, so pretty exciting for him. Quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk Oilers and Penguins, get the Pen side of things. What's going on defensively? We'll find out next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Need a truck? Want a great deal on a truck? Get into Wolf GMC Buick. It's GMC's Canada-wide clearance. Take advantage of 0% financing on Sierra half-tons. Oh, and guess what? GMC employee pricing is back on all in-stock 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons. That means thousands of dollars in savings on GMC Sierra 3/4 ton and 1 ton. Also thousands off the industry-leading SUV, the GMC Yukon. Get to Wolf GMC Buick now and drive away with money off and a smile on. Just off the Anthony Henday.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through. Positive Friday on Sports 1440. Remind you, pizza at $3.25 on the ticket. Steal of a deal right now for the Oiler Penguins game tonight. Hall of Fame night for Randy Gregg and Craig McTavish. if you want to go. 833-401-1440. You get down to auction. We'll end it at 5 o'clock today, so give you more time to get to the game. So currently Pete has it at a bargain at $325. Where the Oilers attack twice in the lower bowl. Great seats if you're interested to get in on it. Let's go around the NHL now, brought to you by McDonald's, locally owned and operated. Did you know that all the McDonald's operators live right here in Edmonton, St. Albert, Spruce Grove, Leduc, Beaumont, etc.? Pay all taxes like you. They run it. Locally owned, care about the community, and they, of course, are the major fundraisers for Ronald McDonald House here in Edmonton, all from the local McDonald's. The Pittsburgh Penguins come to town tonight. The Oilers' offense is struggling. The Penguins' defense is struggling. What's going to give tonight? As a host on Penguins Radio, Brian Metzer joins us. Brian, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, appreciate you having us. Or we appreciate having you, I should say. I guess let's start with the, now we saw this a little bit similar. Only the difference was they sent him to the minors, just kind of more of a paper transaction. But Samsonov did this last year with Toronto. Then he spent a week working with the goalie coach, never played in the American League, and then called him back up, and he played pretty well. The Penguins are kind of doing the same thing. They're running with 3 goalies. They've sent Tristan Jarry back to Pittsburgh. What is it about Jarry's game that's out of sync right now?
It's really hard to put your finger on it. He obviously was tied for the league lead in shutouts last year, so you know he can do it. But this season, he let up a goal on the very first shot that he faced. He ended up giving up 2 on the first 5 that he faced to open the season. Then a couple starts later, he ends up giving up goals on the first 2 shots that he faced in a hockey game. It just seems that his confidence isn't there. He's playing too far back in his net. Usually whenever he is playing well, he's challenging. He's out at the top of the crease, doing some of those other things that you've probably been seeing Tristan Jarry do ever since, he was running for a Memorial Cup back in his old Edmonton days back in the day. So right now it's a confidence thing, I think. I don't know if he's trying to live up to his contract and he's feeling the pressure of Nedeljkovic kind of stealing his job late last season, because Jarry did have an injury. But even when he got healthy, Mike Sullivan opted not to put him back in as the Penguins were making a run at a playoff spot. They came up short, but they really only came up as short as they did based on the play of Alex Nedeljkovic, because Jarry just didn't have it. So I think it's a combination of things, but I will say it's a very big shock for all involved when we saw him get sent back to Pittsburgh to do that work with the goaltending coaches and the consultants with the team, etc. And you can hope for Tristan's sake that he turns it around, because we all know he has the skill to be a starting goalie in this league, but he's always had that criticism as, is he going to be an elite guy? I don't know that he's there, but he should have been good enough to at least backstop this team, and he's not there right now.
So are you expecting Blomqvist to start tonight?
Yes, he is supposed to start. Mike Sullivan did confirm that, and he's been a pretty impressive young goaltender in his own right. So I think he'll have his hands full with the offense that you talked about up there in Edmonton. But that said, I know, he's going to build upon the year he had in the AHL last year, and he looked pretty good through his starts here so far with the big club, making big saves when they needed him, and that's something Tristan hadn't been able to do.
So looking at their team defense, 4.25 goals against, second worst in the National Hockey League. How much of it is goaltending? How much of it is the skaters in front of the goalie?
It's a little bit of both, but I would say it's definitely attributed to the skaters in front of the goaltending, because we've seen both Alex Nedeljkovic and Joel Blomqvist make some big saves and keep the team in hockey games. It is just, they just look lost in their own zone. I mean, Michel Therrien said it best a number of years ago when he said he thought their goal was to be the worst defensive team in the league. They really look like that right now. They look like that. I mean, they have numbers back a lot of the time, but they do too much puck watching. It happened against Winnipeg. You had 4 Penguins kind of all drift over to the wall as a puck carrier feeds a pass right through to Kyle Connor for a one-timer in a nice, soft area of the ice where there should have been some people in the shooting lane. They just weren't there. And they do that every night. They just leave their goaltenders so much just hung out to dry. Odd man rush after odd man rush in the zone, even with numbers, just leaving guys uncovered. I don't know if it's a lack of familiarity with some of these defensive pairs. The forwards that come back to try and assist are kind of looking lost as well. So when you have that kind of combination and guys just are playing out of position and chasing the puck a little too much, there's always a grade A scoring chance going against one of those goaltenders. And when you were in Tristan Jarry's shoes, he had no answer for it.
Right.
These other two guys have made a couple more saves than him, but I definitely think it's a defensive issue that has to be addressed. And I don't know that they can do it with the current personnel that they have on the ice each and every night.
How's Erik Karlsson played?
Well, if you listen to the analytics crew, they will tell you that you're a fool if you criticize him because his numbers look good in that regard. He still creates some scoring chances, and he's not shooting enough for my liking. I know Jason Spezza had a meeting with some of our radio affiliates in Pittsburgh preseason, and he said that it doesn't look like his old teammate in the way that he is passing up shots. They've tried to encourage him to shoot more, specifically on the power play, and he's still not there. He's just not shooting the puck enough. And there are times where there are defensive plays, which, none of us are ever going to say that he was a true Norris defenseman. When I say that, I mean a shutdown type guy. We all know he has his Norris trophies, but he just watches the puck sometimes go by him, and there's a scoring chance behind him. One of the goals that the Buffalo Sabres scored on him a little bit earlier this season on Tristan Jarry was a puck just pinballing off the wall right by Erik Karlsson. He kind of just turned and watched it, and Jordan Greenway goes in on a one-on-one with the goaltender and beats him. So he does that a little bit too much, and the offense isn't quite where you want it to be. So right now he has his critics, I would say, in Pittsburgh, but the analytics still look pretty good for him, and that's why people say you're a fool if you criticize him.
The Penguins and the Oilers in town tonight. Brian Metzer, Penguins radio host, joins us. So, team defense has been a struggle. Now, Jenny Malkin's numbers, Crosby's numbers, heck, Lars Eller, their offensive numbers aren't bad at all. I think they're 11th in the NHL right now in goals for. So obviously they just can't stop it enough. But the one team they've really struggled against lately is the Oilers. The last 3 seasons, the Oilers have dominated the Penguins. They've won 6 in a row. They've outscored them 33-9 right now. And I looked, like, Edmonton's had 5 different goalies win games. They've had, so there's always different teams, and it doesn't seem to matter the outcome. What do you make of that? Is it just one of those anomalies, or is there something about how the Oilers play that the Penguins just haven't been able to figure out?
I think it's the same thing that we see with certain teams in the Eastern Conference that they see a little bit more often, who can skate well. Because the Penguins, winning 2 cups in 16 and 17, playing largely a speed-type hockey game, believe that they can still play that way. And so they kind of get drawn into it by teams. The way Connor McDavid can skate causes them so much havoc because they can't keep up with him. And when you stir in the defense that they have, even last year or the year before, that's a problem for them. So I think that they believe that they can still play a speed-style hockey game, and they really can't. If they would maybe zone it up a little bit or stay back and kind of wait for those mistakes and attack off of those, that might serve them a little bit better against a team like the Oilers. But I think that they get drawn into a little bit of a fire wagon game on occasion. And when you have Connor McDavid, I know on this side, Sidney Crosby exists, but Connor is the guy that's going to break through. He's done that a number of times in the recent history of this head-to-head series. So I just think that's it. They believe that they can hang with them offensively and with speed, and it ends up biting them in the backside.
When you look at their team, Drew O'Connor, is he a legit long-term option in the top 6 in Pittsburgh in your eyes? Is this guy who maybe a lot of people around the league don't know but should pay more attention to? Or is this a case of where the Penguins just don't have enough quality guys to replace Gensel?
I'll tell you this much about him. This season, he came in with more of a swagger than we had seen over the last couple of years. He looks like a guy that's a little bit more comfortable with the offensive part of his game. Scored some huge goals for them so far this year. Looks really impressive off the rush and just more skill than you would have thought. I don't know that if, circumstances were a little bit different and there were some other players available, that he would have gotten the opportunity to play in the top 6 or will continue to down the line. But, people felt that way about a guy like Brian Rust, and look at him. I mean, he's really become a go-to winger or a preferred winger of Sidney Crosby over the last handful of years, and even Evgeny Malkin has played with him too. So I think Drew can continue to develop on this course and become sort of a top 6 guy that can chip in 25 and in a great year, maybe 30 goals. But that's even a stretch now till we see it happen the first time. I will mention again, though, that the skill is better than I would have anticipated, and he skates well for a big guy. And he's skating up right now. He used to look down at the puck a lot. He was not necessarily head on a swivel and making plays. He does that now. He's watching the whole ice, and he's able to read and react pretty well off of these skill guys on this team. So I think that for the foreseeable future, based on how the Penguins are built, specifically if you're in a fantasy hockey league, keep your eye on Drew O'Connor as a guy that could potentially help you out playing in a top six role with Sidney Crosby, and will likely get that opportunity more times than not. He didn't always play there this season. He started on the third line, looked pretty good on that third line role as well. But I think that right now, with them struggling to score in some of these games in which they lose against better teams, he'll probably get the opportunity to play in a top six situation to help kind of invigorate that situation.
Well, we look forward to the game tonight, Brian. There's usually a lot of goals, so Oilers fans are just hoping that that's the case because their offense has been MIA for the first 7 games of the season. Appreciate it as always. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the game.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm sure the Pens D will help get that anemic offense going for you tonight. But thanks again.
There you go.
It.
Brian Metzer, pretty honest. I think that Pens D will allow the offense to get going. And it's not been a great start defensively for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 4.25 goals against per game. And that, you know what? That might be what cures the ails of the Oilers offense. Because all it takes sometimes is one game and opens up the floodgates. Maybe a guy like Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Arvin, one of them's got to score tonight, don't you think? Like, come on. Hyman would be my best guess, but we'll see. We'll come back. The 2-minute warning, you won't want to miss it. Cam Tate, his good friend, Craig McTavish, is going into the Hall of Fame. Tate had an unbelievable question today at the press conference for McTavish and Randy Gregg. We'll get to that and more when we return on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Mr. Rooter meets a ghost. 1 plunge, 2, and 3. A toilet clogged with a ghost? Man, I love plumbing. You're free now.
I will never find peace. The clog is fixed, yes, but I have never trusted the sump pump.
No problemo. I can fix that. Now go to the light, you little scamp.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter.
To resolve your unfinished plumbing business, trust one
tonight. Now, remember, a little bit different than the past. The Hall of Fame ceremony will be post-game between 8 to 10 minutes after the final whistle. It'll be there. So if you're in the building, stay in the building. The concessions, everything's open late. And if you're watching at home, remember that if you want to watch the ceremony, and I'll tell you right now, Randy Gregg, Craig McTavish, two well-spoken guys. They should have some good speeches. So see how that goes. Now, Cam Tate, let's get to the 2-minute warning with Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter at legacyheating.ca. And Cam Tate, longtime journalist in Edmonton, has covered the Oilers and the Elks and many other teams for a long, long time. And he was born with cerebral palsy. Cam's in a wheelchair. Has always wanted to be in radio, pretty witty guy, but due to his disability, it was never capable until now. With the wonders of technology, Cam Tate's words come to life, and you'll want to listen to this one today in regards to his friends, Craig McTavish.
This is a tale about two good friends of mine who have given me so many memories, laughs, and wonderful friendships over 30 years. I am thinking of them right now because they're kind of busy tonight, and they both are recognizable, especially when it comes to their headgear or lack of. One is a true redhead. The other? He's the last player in the NHL not to wear a helmet. Oilers fans know what Randy Gregg, the redhead, and Craig McTavish have done for the Oilers. Gregg winning 6 Stanley Cup rings with the Oilers, Mac T with 4, but they might not know the following. In 1992, Gregg founded a group called Fun Team, which helps kids find and have the real fun in minor sports. One of the group's fundraising events was running the Edmonton Marathon the same year. Gregg managed to get his friend Bob Two Stedward build a racing wheelchair for someone to push me all 26 miles. Away we went. Everything was clicking along until mile 21. My right rear caster broke. No problem, said Gregg, who, along with 8 or 9 other runners and volunteers, helped push me over the finish line on 3 wheels. Macked he his. A very quick wit, very dry too. One trip to Las Vegas, we went to play craps. Of course we did. Yeah, the only way I can throw dice is overhand. Right before my first throw, Mac T said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Nolan Ryan of the craps table." But the best line I will ever hear, ever, came from Mac. A mutual friend did a tremendous thing for me. I asked Mac how I could ever thank our friend. He looked at me, keeping my unique way of talking, and started to smile, and then said, "Hire a speech therapist." Both men go into the Edmonton Oilers Hall of Fame tonight after. Keep that in mind, kids, after the Oilers-Penguins game. Congratulations, my friends, your organ donor card is signed. 2-minute warning with Tate, Monday, Friday. Gregor Show, Sports, 1440.
Those two have great barbs with each other, and there's a real healthy respect. I saw it today at the press conference, and Cam asked a question to McTavish, and he basically was saying how that he kind of talks like Cam because he's had so many head injuries. He asked Randy Gregg, he goes, "How come you never helped either one of us?" And Randy Gregg goes, "Cam, you have to remember, I was a physician, not a magician." So some pretty good bars between those guys, and there's a healthy respect there. Cam is a very witty guy. Like, he loves zingers and one-liners, and he's got a lot of them. Of course, he's done sit-down / stand-up comedy many times. If you ever heard him, Cam Tate's really funny. You hear it in a lot of his 2-minute warnings. And that's why we're happy to have him on. And so, and you know what? He can laugh at himself a lot, and he likes guys to just treat him like anybody else. And if you're going to chirp your friends, then you chirp Cam. No different. Just be prepared that he'll chirp you back. He did meet Donovan today because Donovan P was down at the rink today for his first time, and Tater introduced himself, said hello, so it was great. And so now he'll have someone else. Now today was like, normally Tate will wheel himself in, he has somebody, but didn't. So I got to wheel him in today, and I'm telling you, I was like, "Tater, are you ready for a ride?" So I was running as fast as I could on the wheelchair. Oh, I had to make sure I was a little calm around the corner. So, and he's just giggling the whole time. So we had a good time in the bowels of Rexall Place. 2 kids wheeling around Cam in his wheelchair today. It was quite fun. I told him, "Buddy, anytime you don't need anyone, I'll give you a ride around." So it's great. So that's what he always says. He goes, "Hey, can you give me a ride?" And basically that's his way of asking you if you can help push him around. Now he can move himself around, of course, if he wants to. It just takes him a little bit longer. So there you go. Hey guys, I have to say I'm pretty excited that Mac T is going in. I love that the Oilers Hall of Fame isn't just about great on-ice stats. It's about a lot of other people, and McTavish did a lot for the organization. Not every move as a GM was great, but he did a lot of great things. And man, as a younger fan, him bringing us to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final in 2006 is something I'll never forget. That one comes in from Paul. Paul, I think you speak on behalf of a lot of other people as well. McTavish, you think about it, player, assistant coach, VP of hockey operations, general manager, broadcaster. So he's pretty much filled almost every role on the team, in the organization. And well-deserved honor for him. And his family was there today. They obviously will be there tonight. And same with Randy. Randy, of course, a little bit bigger because he's got 12 grandkids. 12 grandkids under the age of 9. Could you imagine how much fun that's going to be, at family gatherings? Oh, you just should have seen him in the room today, especially the young ones, because there's quite a few that were under 3. And when kids are like a year and a half, or, like they're kind of playing with each other, but they're not really playing with each other because they don't really know how to play with each other. Oh, to me, that was on it. I found myself, as I was listening to the other guys, I was watching some of the grandkids in front of me just interact with each other. It's pure comedy. It's great. They all had their grandpa jersey on, number 21 t-shirt that said Greg on the back. And I just think as a grandfather, how awesome that would be to have all your grandkids there, right? People always say one of the best joys is grandkids, because you can give them back. They're great, but you don't have to keep them all the time. You did most of the work. Now you just get to spoil them. Coming up after 4 o'clock, we got Craig Button joining us. Mark Giordano, we had a little bit of mix-up. He's going to join us on Monday. So he'll be by on Monday. Had some father duties come up. So we'll have Button. We got Ansar Khan joining us. Of course, the Oilers are in Detroit. All of a sudden, the Red Wings starting to play well. You saw it last night, their power play, big reason why they won that game. So we'll have a little preview of the Red Wings coming up because the Oilers play the Pens tonight. We just talked Pens. So we got Button, we got Low Tide. And also we got an hour left in our auction where currently Pete has it at $325, a bargain. We always like to get face value on the tickets. If you want to go tonight, pair of seats, Oilers, Penguins, lower bowl row, 17 in where the Oilers attack twice. Great seats. And you can get them now, $325. All for charity, of course, is always helping out. Gregor Foundation, the Gregor's Grad. So 833-401-1440 if you would like to go to the game tonight. Now, remember, the ceremony is after the game. So you don't have to rush, but oh my God, I'm not going to get there in time, because the Hall of Fame ceremony speeches, everything will be post-game. Oilers, Penguins. Oilers have won 6 consecutive games against the Pens, have outscored them 33-9. Connor McDavid has 17 points in those 6 games. Had 2 goals last game. Is it one of those 3-point nights for McDavid tonight? It's been a while. Maybe he's due. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. You can get $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Game day, the Edmonton Oilers welcoming Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins to Rogers Place. Puck drop just after 7 o'clock in this one. We got pre-game coverage for you. Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson getting going at 6 o'clock here on Sports 1440. Elsewhere around the NHL, 5 minutes away from puck drop down in Vegas as the Golden Knights host the Sens. And the Islanders in Jersey and the Blackhawks hosting the Predators. CFL action tonight at 7:30 down at Commonwealth. The Elks hosting the Toronto Argonauts. Earlier on at 5, we got the Red Blacks taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the association. The Raptors will be back in action hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Tip-off just over an hour away. And Game 1 of the World Series goes tonight from Los Angeles. Dodgers-Yankees, first pitch 6:08. The local sports scene, a busy one. The Oil Kings in Everett taking on the Silver Tips just after 8. Tomorrow they'll be in Portland. In the AG, you got Bonnyville, Lloydminster. GP hosting Grand Prairie. Calgary's in Drayton Valley, and Fort Mac taking on Olds in the BCHL. Spruce Grove is in Black Falls. Then out in Sherwood Park, you got the Crusaders hosting West Kelowna. Both of those games will start at 7 o'clock. Golden Bears hockey, they are in Vancouver taking on UBC. Pandas hosting UBC down at the Drake at 7. Golden Bears football will be in Regina taking on the Rams. Golden Bears basketball playing at Grant McEwen tonight, taking on Lethbridge at 5. Then at 7, the Griffins will host Trinity Western. Griffins hockey taking on Manitoba tonight in the city. And then for the women, they're on the road out in Winnipeg taking on the Bisons. This is coming down from the NHL. Alex Lafreniere and the New York Rangers agreeing to a 7-year contract for the former first overall pick worth $7.45 million per season. That'll run through the 2032 season. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear from head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Chris Knobloch. Also, TSN's Craig Button, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
New Jizz Nuggets. This is New Jizz Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of New Jizz Nuggets.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at Chevrolet. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Silverado 1500 Crew Cab RST models. Explore downtown hotspots with standard Chevrolet safety assist, including automatic emergency braking and HD surround vision camera. Or take on the great outdoors with an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine and available in-vehicle trailering app. Oh, look, a cute chipmunk. Not so cute. Not so cute. Ask your Chevrolet dealer for details.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Tired of hearing, "I'm bored"? Bowl Canada has all the info you need to get them into a bowling league. It's all fun, games, and guaranteed smiles. Visit bowlcanada.ca today to sign up. We're ready to roll. Are you?
Portion of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 4 o'clock, so we got about 50 minutes left. Nick is in now at 4:25 for the seats. Or Tonight's tilt, Oilers, Penguins, great seats. Section 115, row 17, where the Oilers attacked twice. So perfect sight lines if you want to see the game. You want to see all elements of the game, you could do that. So 833-401-1440 is where you can text in with your bid or call Connor at the same number. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, and it is Lotto Max. The Brett Kulak Lotto Max tonight, $27 million. Hey, Kulak, guy's on fire. 2 goals already to start the season. Career high is 6. Could he beat that this year? We'll see. 2 in a game, first time ever. Does he get another one tonight? We'll find out. Zach Hyman, in case you're curious, Zach Hyman, he has 10 goals in 18 career games against the Penguins. The only team that he has a higher goals per game is Seattle, where he has 8 goals in 10 games. So historically, Zach Hyman likes to play the Penguins, and he really likes to play them as a member of the Oilers because his average is a goal a game as a member of the Edmonton Oilers with 6 goals in 6 games. He would love nothing more than to end his 7-game drought. He feels he's playing well. He's getting some chances, just not capitalizing. As I mentioned, he has 16 shots on goal already, but he has 14 missed shots. That's 47% of his shots have missed the net. And usually he's around 25, 26%. So it's significantly higher. You know that number is going to drop, which likely means his goal scored is going to come up. It's just, that you can look, there's in smaller sample sizes, there's lots of numbers all the time that get skewed, good and bad. And I would think Zach Hyman is not going to be missing the net on 47% of his shots at all. I just, I don't see it. So let's go in the room now, brought to you by Action Electrical, one of the most diversified electrical contractors in the province. Projects, electrical, preventative maintenance, tag, service, they do it all. ActionElectrical.net. And Chris Knobloch, of course, the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, spoke about a variety of things. Just first of all, looking at his team defensively, and obviously, hey, you want to get a good offense. They always say it starts with good defense sometimes. And the defensive challenges on going up against Crosby and Malkin.
Absolutely. They're dangerous every time they have the puck. And, also the 2 defensemen that they have are very dangerous when they have it. A lot of offense drives or starts with them. But, it's a big test for our team. Not only, their offensive ability, their vision, but also, being strong on the puck and being able to make those plays. So it's a good test for our guys.
It is very much so. So you look at, it will be a test, but honestly, I think it's just as much of a test for Pittsburgh defensively tonight based on how they have been leaking goals at 4.25 a game. But Knobloch was asked, when you go up against a team like that, do you have to have extra preparation? How more intent is it on guys like Crosby and Malkin compared to some other teams?
Every time, you look at a team's identity and you look at their systems, but also their key players and how they play. And you try and eliminate their strengths. And obviously their strengths are their centermen and they're also their defense, the couple that they have back there. So, we spent some time, like any other, focusing on the other team's top players.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be any different for them. Now, is he a believer that, hey, success carries over? Because it's been 3 different years, different coaches, different goals. 5 different Oiler goalies have beaten the Penguins during this stretch. Remember, Calvin Pickard started both games last year. Remember when he pitched the shutout? But he left the game because of concussion spotter, and so Stuart Skinner had to come in for a minute 16. And then it became a, quote, split shutout. Probably like one of the worst, weird decisions ever. Skinner came in. He didn't even face a shot. So you could argue the Oilers could have pulled their goalie for that time. Didn't face a shot. Well, no, because maybe Pittsburgh would have shot differently. But either way, Skinner comes in. He gets a shared shutout for a minute 16. Now, the win, of course, still was Pickard's. And Pickard's played twice. And then you had Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen, Jack Campbell, Stuart Skinner. All 5 of those goalies have won games against Penguins in the last 3 years. None of them have lost. The Oilers have had 16 different goal scorers in 6 games. 33 different 23 4 different players have points. Like, he spread it around a lot in 6 games. So I asked Knobloch about the recent success against the Penguins. Does it carry over? How does he feel on it from year to year?
We just have to focus on our game and getting ready to play. And, there are teams that for some reason you have success against, and then other teams you struggle. And it's some kind of a little bit of a psychology aspect on, you feel good going into another building or playing another team. And, over the last couple of years, this team has felt good and confident playing against Pittsburgh. I guess it's important for us to have that confidence, but not get complacent.
I liked his answer. At least, you know what? There's just certain teams you play better against. And right now, Nashville's one of those teams for the Oilers. The Penguins are one of those teams. Now, you know who it is the opposite? Minnesota Wild. The Oilers can't beat them. So it kind of evens out over time. And you look at the Oilers, and against the Penguins, they've had a lot of success. And just automatically, I think they're going to feel more comfortable. Well, there's a lot of focus on the Oilers offense. It's got to get going, obviously. They've worked on the power play. They've switched up lines. But does he feel their team is progressing as he would like defensively?
Overall, I think the last few games we have been better defensively. I think we gave up more chances last game than we would like to. It was, we created a lot of chances too, but Carolina had more chance than we'd like to give them. But goaltending was stronger than it had been earlier. So, sometimes you look at the goals against and you think, oh, you played better defensively, but a lot of it was goaltending last game. But overall, if you look at our last probably 4 or 5 games, yes, it's been getting better, but in the coach's mind, the defensive game can always get better. And there's always things that you can need to address. And there definitely is, whether it's our line rush against, defensive zone coverage, there's always aspects that we can tighten up even more.
That would help tonight, no question. And most importantly, though, I think they really got to. There's got to be an emphasis on offense. You're not going to win games when you're averaging 2 goals a game. You can't. You can't do it. You can't expect to win very often. Now you'll have the odd one, sure, but I'd like. I'll actually go quickly look in the NHL this year. How many teams have won a game when they've scored only 2 goals? I'm going to guess it's low, but I could be wrong. So I am going to look it up and just see on when it comes to victories, how many teams have won a game scoring 2 goals. I'll look it up quickly. There's been a few 1-0 shutouts actually. The Canadians over Toronto, Red Wings over the Islanders, St. Louis over the Islanders. So I guess if you play the Islanders, you can win. Now there's been a few 2-2 games that went to shootouts. Flyers over Vancouver, the Stars over San Jose. Anaheim also beat San Jose 2-0. So yeah, there's a few games happens, but I guess when you play the Islanders or you play the Sharks right now, then your odds are better because that's 4 of the 7 that result in a loss for a team when the winner only scores 2. But it can happen. It just doesn't happen very often. And the Oilers, their offense, I'm sorry, they're too talented to be 31st in goals. And the only reason they're not 32nd is because the San Jose Sharks are awful. Okay? Let's just call a spade here. So the Oilers offense, pitter patter, they need to get at her. No question about it. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey guys, my favorite McTavish memory is actually when he pulled out the mascot's tongue in Calgary from Coach Al. Yeah, people seem to love that one, eh? Oh, Harvey the Hound. Because it's very harmless, but somewhat comical, right? It's a tongue on a mascot, and away you go. Hey boys, McTavish is a beauty. My girlfriend and I sat beside him on a flight from Phoenix to Edmonton a couple of years ago. He talked about everything under the sun with us the entire flight. It was a true gem from Tim. Oh, you know what? McTavish is a very good conversationalist. I heard that he was a real big party planner too. For their team, like even now when they have like golf events for ex guys, he's the one always organizing it. So he's quite the socialite amongst the group. So see how it goes. Quick break. When we return, Craig Button will join us. We're talking all things NHL, maybe even a little junior hockey with Butts on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there. Now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Orangesicle, the Marathon, and the Original, made with oranges, bananas, strawberries, strawberry sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here from Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference. Volvo of Edmonton.
Ready to tackle your toughest tasks? Edmonton Kubota has you covered with the all-new M8 Series tractor with powerful 181 and 201 horsepower engines, Cummins power, and loader readiness. It's built to handle any challenge. And now, for a limited time, get a free 4-year extended warranty when you drive off with an M8 Series tractor. Don't miss out on this unbeatable offer. Visit Edmonton Kubota today and power up your productivity. Edmonton Kubota, where power meets performance.
Hey there, it's your friends from Toyota. We see you eyeing that Tundra, already picturing yourself hauling so much firewood that your chainsaw's hiding behind the shed. It's time to stop dreaming about that new Toyota and start driving one. Lease a 2024 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $146 weekly for 64 months at 4.39% with $6,299 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Have you heard of anything more chilling than frozen beef? Until November 3rd, get an always fresh, never frozen Dave single from Wendy's for only $4. Nothing scary about that. Taxes extra at participating Wendy's until November 3rd. Terms and conditions apply.
Roll into fun with Bowl Canada. Our kids' bowling leagues are the perfect way to let your child make new friends and learn new skills. Visit bowlcanada.ca now to get rolling. Let's make memories one frame at a time.
Cold weather is coming, and low prices are here at Canadian Tire's biggest tire sale of the year. Save up to 25% on quality tire brands like Motomaster, Bridgestone, and Michelin at Canadian Tire. Only from October 11th to 31st. Conditions apply. Details online.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. You can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Sometimes it feels like you work, sleep, and, well, that's about it. When you finally get a break for something different. At Edmonton's best games room, Top Shots Billiards and Ping Pong. Unwind with championship tables, a state-of-the-art golf simulator, and 15,000 feet of games and fun for all ages. Top Shots is a fully licensed bar and restaurant with dozens of flat screens. #1 for parties, for bookings for any size. Top Shots, the best thing to happen at pool since chalk. In the woods and at topshots.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
Look good, feel good, play good. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for listening to Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Or 22, Positive Friday. Welcome back. 833-401-1440 is our text line in our E-Well inbox. Your partner in power since 1975. They're coming up on a big 5-0 next year. And 24/7 is where you can order all your electrical gear. EWEL.ca. Orders, Penguins tonight. Actually, the NHL schedule started early and a 3:00 start in Vegas. I'm not sure why. Maybe they're just kicking off the weekend in Vegas a little bit early as the Senators are in Vegas. And that puck just dropped about 10 minutes ago. Later on tonight, of course, Islanders and the Devils, the Predators in Chicago, and then the Oilers and the Penguins. And then Edmonton sets out on a road trip that starts in Detroit on Sunday. That'll be 4:00 Edmonton time, 3:00 pregame show right here on Sports 1440 with Walker and Paulson, as long as Ferraro. And then they play next Monday in Columbus, Thursday in Nashville, and a week this Sunday in Calgary. As we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the FSL, the Female Super League, that provides an opportunity for growth and development for young female hockey players, 14U and 12U. Sign up at femalesuperleague.com. We welcome in Stanley Cup winning member of the Dallas Stars, former GM and scout, ace analyst and scout for TSN, Craig Button, joins us. Craig, how you doing, my man?
I am doing really well. How are you doing? Unbelievable the weather we've had right from July 1st right through to now, but just enjoy it while you can, right? It's been great.
Yeah, it is great. I like it. It's Positive Friday, Butts. You're all over it. That's fantastic. All right. Lots of storylines going on. I want to start with, a team like the Winnipeg Jets, Craig, and just how dominant of a start they've had. And really, it's like, if you look at the last regular season, they're the best defensive team in the league. They're the best defensive team in the league again. There was unfortunately 5 games in between there where they got just annihilated by Colorado. What do you think they can learn from that so it doesn't happen again this postseason?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jason. And you think about a team that had 110 points last year, the goals against, and that was a tough division. I mean, you had 3 teams with 100 points, and Nashville was right knocking on the door. And this year, your word dominant. They've been dominant. They're nothing accidental. They've been outstanding everywhere with respect to their play. And it feels like, well, they're going to have to prove it come playoff time. And when you get kind of annihilated like they did versus the Colorado Avalanche and dusted quick. And the year before, similar, I know they had some injuries, but it happened to Vegas the year before that. So I think that for the Winnipeg Jets, I think we can give them all kinds of kudos for being really good in the regular season, and they certainly started off again this year. I think one of the biggest things that they have to do, they have to get to a more hardened state. Okay. And by that, what I mean is, when last year, when the Colorado Avalanche ramped it up to another level, Winnipeg couldn't get there.
Yeah.
And so there's not just one way to win in the National Hockey League. There never has been, there never will be. But when a team is going to try to push their strengths at you, you have to be hard enough to be able to say, and we use the term bend but don't break, and that's what I mean by harden. Harden your resolve, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to have chances or they're not going to be able to, but you got to harden yourself to say, you know what, we're going to resist this, and it's going to take everything we have to resist it, but that's what we have to do. There was no resistance last year once Colorado took it to another level, and I think that's the biggest thing that the Winnipeg Jets have to really make sure that they understand going into this year's playoffs. I thought they were a playoff team at the beginning of the season. They've given me no reason to believe that won't be the case, but they're one of those teams that, come playoff time, you're going to have to show us, because the last two playoffs have not been kind to the Winnipeg Jets.
Craig, one of the lost arts in the National Hockey League is open ice body contact that is clean. And Jacob Trouba with one of the nice, and is it a hard hit? 100%. Some might even say it's violent, but it's allowed. And I hope it's always allowed. There is nothing wrong with that. That, to me, you can't, if you put yourself in that position, young Baron, then that's what's going to happen, unfortunately for him. But why do you think there's so few players who have that ability? Because it's not easy to be able to time your hit, have the lateral motion, movement, all that stuff to get in the lane and do it. And then the willingness, because sometimes delivering the hit hurts you as much as the hittee and the hitter. But, why do you think it's such a lost art?
We don't teach it. We don't teach it at a young age. We don't. So body checking is part of the game, right? And we can say that it's an element of the game. That's a skill. Well, when you start teaching it at age 13, like, can you imagine telling a kid, well, you're only going to start stick handling at age 13? You're only going to start shooting the puck at age 13? You're only going to start skating and working on your lateral like crossovers at 13? You know what we'd have? We'd have a real fall off on skill. So it's a skill that isn't being taught. And it's a skill that, and maybe we don't want it to be taught. Okay, I understand that there's no hitting below 13. But when you're introducing a skill in the game that late, and that's late, guess what? It's going to end up being a lost art, and it is.
Yeah, and it kind of, it makes his value even higher, I would think, just because, like, that's a deterrent. There's guys who say, I'm not going down that side of the ice. Right? And, like, honestly, I think there's guys that will consciously think that way. And why wouldn't you? Because fear is still, intimidation still lives in the NHL, despite some people thinking it doesn't. I still think it's a big part of the game, and it can be a healthy part of the game when done right. At least in my opinion, anyway. So,
well, I agree with you, Jason, and I think it's like, we use words like violent and hard and a healthy part of the game. It is part of the game, and it has to be done, and it has to be delivered in a clean context. And those are the parameters that you operate under. But the NHL is hard. If it was easy, Jason, everybody would win. Everybody would win. If life was easy, everybody'd be successful. Yep. If school was easy, everybody'd be. It's hard. Like, it takes a discipline. So when we talk about hard hockey, and the game is played on a 200 by 85 surface where there's nowhere to go. Like, there's no out of bounds. There's no way for you to get. So when you're playing, and you know that there's a risk of body contact, there has to be an awareness. And then there also has to be this understanding that, like, yeah, do I really want to go down there? Do I really, really want to go down that side? And when a guy like Jacob Trouba delivers those thundering hits and lets you know, you want to come down here, you better think I'm going to deliver a body check. So that all being said, you start to see that intimidation is part of the game. Deterring an opponent is part of the game. That's part of successful hockey. If an opponent says, well, I'm just going to go down this way, because I don't want to go over there. Well, that's part of deterring somebody. Do you think the offensive and defensive lines in football are not violent? Every single snap of the ball, there's violence on. Now, there's parameters. You can't just hit guys in the head. You can't just slap them in the head. You can't hold. But it's violent there. And the rules of football, or I shouldn't say the rules, if you want to win, you can't win unless you're dominant at the line of scrimmage, defensive, and it's violent down there.
Greg, early on, it can be good and bad for lots of teams. A few weeks ago, the Leafs were winning the cup. Now they lose a few. Oh my God, the Leafs are terrible. And, there's other teams, and that's how it goes with early sample sizes for other teams. One team got off to a real slow start. Well, two of them really. And a lot of people were like, God, they got to take a step this year. But both Buffalo and Detroit have seemed to at least righted the ship a little bit. When you look like Detroit last night, their power play looked great, specifically Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane basically, changed that game for them. He's still such a dynamo to watch, right? Like, he's unbelievable. Like, Patrick Kane is still one of my favorite players just to watch for pure creativity. And when the puck is on his stick, like, if I just from the blue line in, Craig, not the whole ice, but from the blue line in, I still might take Patrick Kane over everybody in the league except maybe McDavid.
The thing about Patrick Kane is, and he was never the biggest player. He was never the overpowering player. But what he does is he pummels you with his brain. He just pummels you. No matter what you throw at him, he goes, "Oh yeah, great, I got this solution." Like you know the old show McIver, where you could be like he was on a desert island and there was nothing around, and he built a boat to get off with. You know that's Patrick Kane. Good luck trying to. He's seen it all, and whatever you throw at him, he's going to find a way to find the solution and exploit it. He's great. He's a great player, and as we talk a little bit more about Buffalo and Detroit. You know, expectations a little bit higher there, need to take some steps. And certainly the start of their seasons weren't great, but they have got themselves steady. And now you can start to build. And because it's less than 10 games now, closing in on the 10-game mark, you don't want to be falling significantly behind and trying to catch up. And I think that the fact that those two teams have leveled off in terms of their record and right there, that it gives them a chance now to take those steps. But what's going to be just as important for them now, and we see this in games, and we see this over stretches, you fight, you climb in a game to get back even, and then you get even, and you just a big deep breath, and then all of a sudden, like you're not at the same attention level because you don't feel that pinch between the shoulder blades.
Yeah,
I think both those teams better realize that the pinch between the shoulder blades should never go away for them.
Yeah, no, that's well said, and. You know, they got to be on their toes. Ottawa, you put in that same category. And you look at the goaltending around the NHL now, Craig, and it's more volatile than ever. The numbers, I think everybody has to change their expectation on what's a proper save percentage today for a variety of reasons. There's a few things. Offense is up. But have you noticed the NHL has really cracked down on, like, if a goalie makes a save on a puck that's going wider than net, he grabs it with his glove? They're not counting that as a shot on goal this year. They're trying to say, hey, the shot on goal means if it's between the posts and the goalie saves it, that's a shot on goal. That's a save. If the goalie saves it and it's outside the net and he stops the play, he stops the play, but it's not a shot on goal. And so when you add up and there's fewer shots on goal now, Craig, but the scoring chances are the same and teams score as much, and if every game there's 2 or 3 fewer shots a game, well, that's impacting your overall save percentage as well, not to mention the increase in offense and creativity and stuff. So, like, I look at how teams are going to have to change kind of their expectations of it. And then you throw in the fact that it's just, for whatever reason, like, look at Vasilevsky's numbers right now and look at a lot of other really good goalies. Like, it's hard to be a goalie on a team and even have a 9-10 save percentage now.
It is. Well, I think one of the big things, Jason, is it the NHL grabbed a hold of this. The agents for the goaltenders around the league were paying these people to put up fake shots. So improve their save percentage so they could get paid more money. No, I'm just kidding about that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
I love it.
But like exactly what's a real shot on goal, and like to your point, the ones that are wide, no, that doesn't count. The other part of this too is, and technology is part of it, but the teams now. Like, goaltending coaches don't just work with their own goaltenders to try to make sure that, we're closing off, any vulnerability. They're also trying to prepare their own teams to take advantage of the other team's goaltender. Mm-hmm. So the attentiveness with the coaching and the pre-scouting and okay, here's what you got to do to this goaltender. Here's where he's vulnerable. That's it. That's it. The other thing that's significant too is in 2005, with the new rule enforcement, not the new rule enforcement, the old rule enforcement, there's no more clutching, there's no more grabbing, there's no more hooking. You can't slash on the hands. That came in a little bit later. But, there was always a way for the lesser player to take away from the more offensive player.
Yeah.
I used to say this about Mario Lemieux. I mean, on just about every single play Mario Lemieux was on, there was a penalty on the play. The problem was, people felt, oh, yeah, Mario's got to fight through it. So they only called 2 out of 10 infractions on Mario. But Mario got penalized the other 8 times because he was too good.
Right.
Now that's not the case. The case now is you're more skilled, you're a better player. We're not going to take advantages away from you. So that's created a shift in the game as well. Vasilevsky had the back surgery. He's a little bit older. You have a lot of hard games on him in a short period of time. I'm just isolating him. But I think the offensive player now isn't hindered, and certainly the way that teams and individuals are coached to try to take advantage of the goaltenders and what their vulnerabilities are, I think has helped the shooter, help the goal scoring. And with that comes a little dip in save percentage and goaltenders' overall records.
Craig Button from TSN joins us. Craig, we've seen a few teams send some guys back. They got a cup of coffee. Luchenko in Philly's one that I think has to go back, obviously. Macklin Celebrini got hurt in game. I've always, it's a man's game, and sometimes injuries just happen. It's unfortunate. But, man, you look at McDavid rookie year, Bedard rookie year, the physical toll of teenagers in the NHL, Craig. I just wonder when more teams are is it even worth it? But is it honestly worth it to do it? I don't know, because I'm not sure you're getting the most of those teams aren't good enough anyway. So you're not really getting any juice for the squeeze. What do you think?
Yeah, no, good way to put it, Jason. Really good way to put it. I like that. And, you got young players in the game on teams that are, look at Will Smith. So you talk about celebrating Will Smith, healthy scratch. He was the NCAA's top scorer last year.
Yep.
Won a gold medal with USA. And, now you got to rush into the NHL. The other part of this is, when we see what the NHL is about, here's what the NHL, this is the job. It's a competition.
Yeah.
And now, we see the revenues in the game in the league go up, which means salaries are going to go up, which means players are more determined than ever to stay in the NHL to get paid those big salaries. So you think there's going to be any forgiveness for some young kid? You think they're just going, wow, yeah, look at it. Yeah, you just go right ahead here, Macklin Celebrini. No, there isn't. Even within an own organization, young kid Will Smith's here. Well, he's not taking my job. I don't want to go playing with the Barracudas.
Yeah.
That's a lot less money for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I said this, and this, Jason, and other people know it. You have players, I call it the natural laws of maturity, physical, mental, and emotional. And you cannot speed it up. There are exceptions where some players are a little bit more mature at a younger age, right? The vast majority of players at 18, 19, or 20 are not mature.
Yeah.
They're not.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean they don't have skill or they don't have ability and there's not. And the NHL fails more players than players fail on their own. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's 100%.
Luchenko playing in Philadelphia. It's a joke.
Yeah. Why is he there? I don't get it. He's super fast. I understand. I watch him God, this kid, let him go down to let him go back to junior and dominate and play with the World Juniors and gain confidence and get stronger. And so next year when he comes back, and the other thing the teams forget, now guess what? That's an extra year you have him in junior. So now you haven't wasted a year of his ELC. So you got maybe a better chance at his last year of his ELC. You might be able to compete because they're not close to competing now.
Exactly. And Jet's a really good player.
Yes.
But come on. He's not ready for the NHL. He's not ready for the NHL. So get him out of there.
Yeah. I'm always perplexed why there's so much stubbornness around. I don't know if there's pressures from owners. I really don't know.
Okay, but somebody's got to stand up to the owners, Jason, and say, no, it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
I know there's marketing. No. We're here for ultimate success. And when I say the NHL fails more players than players fail on their own, that's what they do. Oh, a marketing campaign. We need him. Or he's not going back to junior. He's too good for junior. Listen, there's no player that playing in a good situation isn't going to benefit from. And back to my natural laws of maturity, just by letting a player just go through the natural process of maturation is going to help them.
Yeah, totally it is. One last one for you, Craig. I know it's early, but hey, people get excited. Looking at the 2025 draft class, who are some of the guys that, that Craig Button is most interested in? Not necessarily who's number 1 or 2, but just some players that you're most intrigued by to be watching in their development over the next few months.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Now, I will make a statement here, and and then this will go on. But I think Porter Martone's the best player in the draft. I know James Higgins is a good player, and Anton Frondell's a good player, and Michael. Okay. I think Porter Martone's the best player in the draft. I think he's everything you want in a player: skilled, smart, leader, big, mean, tough, hard. I don't see a flaw in his game, Jason.
Okay.
Not a flaw in his game. And like, I'm ready to put him at 1 and draw a hard line underneath him. Like, I'm just saying that here now.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of good offensive players in this draft. I mentioned Michael Misa, who's had a really good year. Roger McQueen, and he's hurt. He's going to be out for a little period of time. I think he's a really good talent. James Higgins is a really good player. Antoine Frondel, who's a fantastic Swede, he went through some injuries and trying to rehab, and they didn't rush him back. He's back playing. He's really interesting. After Matthew Schaefer, who I think is an excellent defenseman, I think it gets really interesting with a whole handful of defenders that I think are going to be really interesting. But because some drafts have more, like last year's draft, in the first, 11, 12 picks, 6 defensemen went. Like, there's not 6 defensemen in the top 12 this year, but there's going to come a point in time when you're going to say, okay, we better get a defenseman if you want to add one to your prospect pool. I think Ravensbergen, the goaltender up in Prince George, is really gifted and really good. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. And Cameron Schmidt, I know everybody's going to tell me that he's only 5'7" or 5'8" or whatever he is. I don't think there's very many players. In fact, I think it's very few players that are as skilled, dynamic, and competitive as Cameron Schmidt.
Ooh, I like it. But great stuff, man. Really appreciate it. As always, have yourself a wonderful weekend. And actually, quickly, give me your thoughts on Lafreniere's extension.
Well, I think it's good. And you look at Matty Beniers. Matty Beniers signed the extension, right? And he did it a little bit sooner than Alexei did in New York. Alexei's got a few more years under his belt. But I think Alexis Lafreniere has made some really good strides. The Rangers have been patient with his development. He continues to improve and build his game, and I think that's really positive for for Lafreniere. And I think now, like, Chris Drury he's getting his accounting in order, shall we say? And ultimately, we'll hear about a Shesterkin extension, because Shesterkin's getting paid, and I don't think there's any question that it's going to be by the New York Rangers.
Craig, great weekend, buddy. Enjoy it. Who do you like in the World Series?
I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm going Yankees, but I got to tell you, Ohtani, Judge Ohtani. Can it get any better for Major League Baseball? Can it get any better?
Honestly, I can't wait, man. It's going to be awesome.
Neither can I. No. Neither can I. I think it'll be. Hey, the Dodgers are good. The Yankees are good, and everything. But when you get the 2 biggest stars in the game on prime time in your fall classic, wow. You can't do it any better. You can't.
No, you can't. Awesome stuff, Craig. We'll chat with you next Friday. Have a great week.
Thank you, Jason. You have a great weekend.
There you go. That's Craig Button. As always, joins us every Friday on Sports 1440. We'll come back. We got 5 questions. Also, we got about 50 minutes left in the auction. Nick has it at 425. Pair of seats tonight. Orders Penguins, where the Orders attack twice. Row 17. Great seats. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. You're listening to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
For 5 days only, the President's Sale is on at The Brick. We've got the best offers of the season, like up to 50% off mattresses, up to $800 off sectionals, and up to 65% off sofas when you buy the matching Love Seater chair. Also, when you buy more, you save more. Up to an additional $1,000 when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Plus, prepare for the holidays with our price protection guarantee. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Before every big interview,
every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks...
Stop thinking and start seeing me, Dr. Vance Elliott, for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
The legacy of trust and commitment at Denham Ford drives us forward. For over 65 years, we've upheld a tradition of excellence marked distinctly by our unparalleled customer satisfaction. Each vehicle in our showroom mirrors the quality and dedication that won us Canada's prestigious President's Award 51 times over. Denham Ford on the Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or online at denhamford.ca. Join our extended family and drive tradition forward with Denham Ford. Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, noodle, nood.
Throw the load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all of your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$447. Welcome back. Pete came in at $450, and then Nick bumped it up to $550. Nice. So we're up to $550 now if you want in on the seats tonight, orders, and the Pittsburgh Penguins Hall of Fame night. Randy Gregg, Craig McTavish will be going in the Orders Hall of Fame. I like to call it the Ring of Fame because it's on the ring and it just stays in there. You're in the ring forever. Nice. As Randy Gregg will join Lee Foglin and Charlie Huddy and Ryan Smith and Doug Waite, along with Craig McTavish, who've gone up there. We asked a question earlier, who would be the next, if you got one vote, who would you vote in? And lots of different, some interesting names. Some people are like, Ryan Smith, Doug Waite. They're like, they're already in. We're talking people that aren't in. Obviously, all the jerseys retired, they're in. So, who will it be next? Might not always be two every year either. Keep that in mind. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick, where, man, you can save more all the time, it seems, at The Brick. Deals on all the time right now. Mattresses, you need a good sleep. You know how important sleep is? Very. Well, 40% off. Got that old rusty mattress. You know, maybe you've worn it out. You know what I'm saying? You need a new one? Stop in at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, we've got 2 Oilers games between right now and our next show. So what do you think the record's going to be over the weekend, and what's going to be the headline?
What will be the headline? So that means they'll have played 2 games before our next show. I fully believe they're going to win tonight. Now, Detroit, I don't know. But I guess we'll, you know what I say? The headline will be Offense Awakens. They go 1-0-1.
I said they'd win 4 straight, so got to win these 2 to make it 3 and 4. So they're going to win both. And I'm going to go on a similar trend as you, but depth. Secondary scoring. When I say secondary, I just mean basically anyone outside of McDavid and Draisaitl. I think a couple of the Oilers who have been sleeping are going to wake up, and we start to see some depth scoring from this team. So 2-0 depth scoring is the headline. Question number 2. Right now, we're in kind of that rare air when we get 4 of the North American sports playing. Of course, so much going on in the weekend. We can't watch them all. But if you were ranking the 4 leagues, North American speaking, in priority? 1 through 4. What are they for you right now?
Like today?
Today.
Well, World Series is 1. It has to be. It's championship. So I always would take that. Then I'd probably have NHL, NFL, NBA.
See, I'm going to go NHL. We're in oil country. I know the people want hockey. MLB, NFL, then NBA. So I'll switch the 2 around for you.
I think they're sports fans. I like the MLB. It's all the best players. Who doesn't like watching the best players? Even if it's a sport you watch all the time. Well, I'd like to put, hey, you got the Elks in town, so to not even have the CFL, it's kind of hypocritical of you to say, hey, we know that we're in oil country. Well, the
Elks, not elk country.
Yeah. Well, they got. There are Elks in Alberta, but the Elks season obviously ends tonight, and it's another disappointing season. I've said this. I believe that the organization wasted an opportunity this year by not playing Trey Ford. For him to play as little as he has, when your season was done when you went 0-7, and that was your choice by not starting him. Now, I'm not saying he would have, had him 6-1 or 5-2, but hell, if he would have had him 2-5, then he'd be, in a better position. So, to me, it's a wasted year. You didn't get a lot of development opportunities for him. So now, what happens now? Now he's a free agent. You don't know who your GM is. You don't know who your head coach is. Well, they don't know who the president is. I know they've interviewed, so we'll see if they figure that out soon. But yeah, this is a massive, I would say the next month, because you consider, to me, you want your coach in place by the end of November for next season, right? Otherwise, or at least, the end of November, because when the Grey Cup season ends, right, lots of coaches' contracts are done by the end of December. But trust me, all the conversations happen before that. Don't kid yourself. So they got to, you know what? They'll have a very busy month. Now, it could be a great month, but it's a super important one.
Kind of jumped into question 4. We'll get there in a second. But right now, I'm sorry. I don't know how many people. Once the season wraps up, I think the Elks are going to go away for a bit and then make some noise later on. But question number 3 for you. We saw the call last night, the face mask in the end zone. It resulted in a safety for the Rams. That was curtains for them, and they went on to win the game over the Vikings. Do you think the NFL should implement a way that maybe an eye in the sky can chime in and overturn obvious calls? Or do you think that's an overreaction for, a play we see maybe once, twice, 3 times a year?
Yeah, because when you start, then where do you stop? Right? I get the concern that if you open it up for one, then you know what? But here's the thing I didn't like. So in the NFL, Calvin Watkins was the one who was the NFL pool reporter who got to sit down with the officials, and he talked about the Vikings' last offensive play, quarterback face mask pulled. What did you guys see on the play? Blake said, well, on that play, the quarterback was facing the opposite direction for me, so to not have a good look at it. What? How can you? I put a picture of him. He's standing right behind him, right directly behind him. Oh, I didn't have a good angle. What the hell are you talking about? His hand is up in his face. And when he spins him around, Connor, where was his head facing? At the direction of Blake. So you can have the pool. And then he's like, well, you know what? I didn't see it. Our umpire didn't have a good look at it because we were blocked. And then it's like, well, no one had it because, Kerry Fraser says, don't guess. But now that wouldn't have lost in the game. I just want to make that abundantly clear. That play didn't lose in the game, right? They were out of that game well before that, right? It's their last offensive play of the game. But it's a quarterback. It was the most blatant face mask I've seen in a long time. And you're standing right there and you claim that you didn't have a good look because it was facing the opposite direction. Stop standing still. Side shuffle the foot, for God's sake. So no, to me, it's more so tell the officials, be better. You don't always have to get an eye in the sky, but it's okay to admit they sucked on that one play. It's a terrible missed call, and Blake's answer is gross when you have video footage of him standing right behind Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I think there were shots of 2 refs looking right at it. Neither of them put their hand on the flag. I would, love to say that, yeah, let's do something about this. If it's a 1-possession game and we're in the final 2 minutes, someone can chime in and say, hey, you missed something very obvious. This is like another one the Rams have gotten away with. Remember that pass interference against the Saints a few years ago where it was obvious he was there before the football and they got away with it? It didn't cost them again. They had a chance to stop and didn't. I think I would love to say it, but then all of a sudden we're getting into the NHL with offsides. And then all of a sudden we're slowing the game down. We're taking a look. It's getting crazy. Like if there was a way where we could just say you have the ref in this guy has two looks at it. If he can't make a determination, then we're not going to drag it out. I'd be on board for it. I'd love to see the right call get called all the time, but we're opening up a whole can of worms, and I think it might get out of hand. So I'm going to just trust the refs to usually make the right decision. They messed up big time. And when Byron Young grabs his helmet, knowing he grabbed the face mask, you can tell he knows he screwed up, but doesn't get the call. Crazy. Loved his tweet, though, today saying it was just really noisy. I was just covering my ears. Thought that was quite funny. Question number 4. Of course, the Elks are going to wrap up their season tonight. How long do you think we've got the decision made on the president, coach, and GM going into next year?
Honestly, I don't think they have a decision. Oh, how long?
How long before we hear the announcement?
Well, I think the president announcement's coming right away. I thought it was gonna happen. Maybe they're waiting, for next week. The season's over now. They'll make the announcements. Very possible. I do know that they've had a few rounds of interviews. So I would guess today, Connor, if I was being honest, I bet you the decision's already been made. They just haven't announced it. Right. So it's the final game of the season tonight. They have a locker clean out day, and then away they go. And you know what? To me, though, who meets with your GM? Who do you have your season-ending interviews with if you don't have that in place? So that's why I wonder if they have it there, and maybe it's going to be announced. It's got to be announced first week of November for the president, for sure, because it's a crucial decision for this organization.
Yeah, I'm with you. Get it as soon as you can. You got to make the right decision. I don't want to say speed it up, but all of a sudden, the offseason is going to be here. Free agency. Who do you want to keep? Who are you bringing back? Then you get into the draft. You have to do all the scouting. I feel like it's a decision that has to be done ASAP. You got to get the right guy. But sooner than later is certainly going to go a long way for this team. Gregor, final question for you. Halloween's right around the corner. On this day in 1978, the classic Halloween was released. So just speaking of the horror movie genre, I know you're a big Ring fan, but what would you put in your top 3 scary movies?
Well, The Ring would be up there. I remember Poltergeist, first time I saw it. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. And My Big Fat Greek Wedding. That's very scary, on the insanity of the wedding. So there's different types of fear.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Cult classic, I've heard. I don't know if Declan could run over. I'd love to hear his, because I know he's a guru when it comes to the horror genre. For me, though, Sinister. Love Sinister. And then I kind of like the fun, scary movies as well. Cabin in the Woods is an absolute classic. And Last Night, I don't know how many people would throw it in the horror category, but IMDb does. So I'm going to put it up there, Zombieland. Woody Harrelson, one of the best characters in a scary movie, taking on the zombies. He's amazing.
Really? Okay.
It's so good. So
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Dick, come over to the mic. Tell us your top 3 scary movies, because I know this is your favorite genre.
He knows them all. He's going to have the deep cuts, I think.
No, they're not that deep. It is my favorite genre. I was hesitant to stand up and get over here because it's not that groundbreaking, but Halloween, Connor mentioned, Black Christmas from 1974, and Scream, Wes Craven from 1996.
Black Christmas?
Black Christmas. I've never even heard of it.
Canadian director Bob Clark. Takes place in a sorority house. It's a take on the story of the killers inside. I don't want to spoil it, but I'll spoil it anyway. The killers inside the house. The calls are coming from inside the house. That whole thing.
Okay.
It's a really good take on it.
Oh, well, there you go. Black Christmas. Had not heard of it. So there you go. Hey, congratulations to Nick. You're going to the game, buddy. Thank you very much. Let's get to the Common Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Booster Juice. They celebrate 25 years right now. Huge milestone. They're bringing back some of their favorite smoothies of all time. The Marathon, the Original, and the very popular Ornsicle, but only for a limited time. So download the Booster Reward app and order one today.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It is game day. The Oilers back on the ice tonight, taking on Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Puck drop in this one, 7 o'clock down at Rogers Place. Our pregame coverage with Donovan Paulson. Andrew Walker gets going at 6 o'clock right here on Sports 1440. The boys will be back once this game wraps up for your post-game coverage as well. After 20 minutes out in Vegas, Golden Knights trail the Sens 3-2. Later tonight, you got the Islanders and the Devils and the Preds in Chicago taking on the Blackhawks. CFL action night out in Commonwealth. You got the Elks wrapping up their season, taking on the Boltmen. Kickoff at 7:30. At 5 o'clock, Ottawa taking on Hamilton in the association. The Toronto Raptors look for their first win of the season as they host the Philadelphia 76ers. That gets going in a couple minutes here. After 6 o'clock, you have the Dodgers and the Yankees meeting in Game 1 of the World Series down at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. The local sports scene, lots of teams in action. Oil Kings taking on Everett out in Everett. Down gets going just after 8 o'clock tomorrow. They'll meet Portland in the AJ. You got Bonnyville taking on Lloyd. GP hosting Olds takes on Fort Mac and Calgary in Drayton Valley. BCHL Spruce Groves in Blackwell. Then out in Sherwood Park, you got the Crusaders hosting West Kelowna. Both those games get going at 7 o'clock. The Golden Bears out in Vancouver taking on UBC tonight just after 8 o'clock. In town, the Pandas will host UBC at the Drake. That gets going at 7. Golden Bears football is in Regina taking on the Rams. You have Golden Bears basketball playing at Grant Mac taking on Lethbridge at 5. Then the Griffins will take on Trinity Western at 7 o'clock. Griffins hockey taking on the University of Manitoba in town. The women on the road taking on the Bisons in Winnipeg. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Alan Mitchell of the Lowdown with Lowtide. And we'll talk little Detroit Red Wings, who the Oilers play on Sunday with Antar Khan. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Cold weather is coming, and low prices are here at Canadian Tire's biggest tire sale of the year. Save up to 25% on quality tire brands like Motomaster, Bridgestone, and Michelin at Canadian Tire. Only from October 11th to 31st. Conditions apply. Details online.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions, take 1 for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready. I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take 1.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom. I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
As they like to say, everything is happening. Oh, my goodness. What a flurry in the final 2.5 minutes in Vegas for the first period. So the Senators got up early. Their fourth line, Adam Gaudette, scored. Then Claude Giroux made it 2-0. So they were leading 2-0. First 60 minutes of the first, it's going good. And then at 17:23, Nicholas Ross scored. Then 19 seconds later, Nicholas Hague scored, and they tied the game. And then 50 seconds later, Drake Batherson, his 5th of the season, and the Senators lead 3-2 in a wild first period. 5 goals, 23 shots. Nice. Nice. Little offense. Oiler fans, you could use that tonight, couldn't you? Oiler fans have been dying for like a high-scoring home affair because I haven't had a lot of goals at home this season. What'd they score? 0, 2, 1. Well, they did have 4 against the Flyers. So that was the highest scoring one, too. So they've only scored more than 3 goals once so far in their first home game. So nice to give the crowd something to cheer about. It's a Friday night. Little added extra incentive. If the Oilers win tonight, the post-game ceremony will be a little bit more fun for everybody involved. So see them fire at it. Congratulations again to Nick. He's got the tickets. He's going to the game tonight. Let's get to filling in for the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. Coming in, the underground infrastructure, underrated, underappreciated, hugely important. Kind of like a Randy Gregg. They're the Randy Gregg of construction. GS Construction. As filling in the spec report, LT joins us. The lowdown with spec joins us now. LT, how are you?
I'm very well. Randy Gregg was, out of the box. He and Huddy, they're both lefties. They played right side. They were just vast improvements. Nothing against Gary LaRiviere and the other guys that had played there before, but really, along with Lee Fogelin, that was really top drawer. Edmonton Oilers fans were delighted by all of those guys, including Mr. Gregg, who always held himself with a great deal, still does, deal of composure and class, and he's done really good things in our community too.
Oh, man. A pillar of the community, really, when you look at it. And he's in his first love of baseball. He's heavily involved in it. He absolutely loves it with the Riverhawks. And then, of course, loves medicine and helping people. I remember him telling me, you know what, I get the joy when I see someone I can help them back to health. Because if you don't have your health, it can be very frustrating at times. And so, you know what, it was great to see Al. You see Randy Gregg in there. And his wife, and there's 4 kids, but then there's 12 grandkids under the age of 9, and they're all in their little Oiler t-shirts with Greg 21 on the back. And you know what, the 2 oldest boys, you could tell, like, they're 8, 9, and I think they're old enough. They're just like, hey, you know what, Grandpa's pretty cool right now. This is pretty awesome. Geez, look at this. Paul Coffey's over here, and there's all these other guys talking about my grandpa. And then the young kids had to be 6 of them, I think, under the age of 3. So,
love it.
There's a few of them just squawking, right? Because you know how it is. Like, they don't really know what's going on. Like, it was so funny. I was walking behind one of Randy's daughter-in-laws, and she was holding, I think it might have been the second youngest. And he's a little boy, and I'm going to guess 18 months old. And so they're walking. She's like, so you're going to be quiet, right? We're going to sit still. And he's like, uh-huh. and he was actually pretty good for about 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden you could just kind of see him squawking, and that's normal, right? Like, it's hard for kids to sit still. And but
it's tough. I mean, at that age, their attention span is, well, it's about what mine is now.
That's true.
Early in life and late in life.
Yeah, it doesn't change much, does it, Al? It doesn't change much at all. But, the thing that was intriguing about it was, so they had the 6 defensemen. Jackson played with Gregg. Huddy played with Coffey. Lowe played with Fogelin. And those are the same 3D pairs for 4 seasons, Al. Like, it's not unheard of on any team, because guys, you don't find anybody else better, or, somebody else has to leave trade, what have you. That, to me, like, what a pillar to know the guys you're playing with the same guy. And sure, they would switch here and there because some guys were injured, but they really had their set pairs. And you know what? The coaches, like Gregg and Jackson, some games found themselves out there protecting a 1-goal lead. And then, it was Lowe and Fogelin. Sometimes it was Coffey and Huddy. And it very different styles. But, as good as Coffey and Huddy were, like, Randy Gregg one year had 13 goals and 40 assists, dude. And then he had 10 points in 19 playoff games.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of, as you said, there was a lot of skill and a lot of different, variety of skill sets. Like Lee Fogelin was of that group. Honest to God, I would tell you that in my heart, I believe he was the strongest of the 6. He was impossible to move, and he was physical along the wall. If he decided to pin you, you weren't getting away. You just weren't. And Greg was great with the puck. He had a tremendous wingspan. He could do a lot of things. Huddy was an absolute godsend. He really was when he came here, and he wasn't drafted. And the thing I always say about the Sather Oilers, and they had it a little bit when he left, Steve Stales came along, but somehow during that era, they could find defensemen, Jason, I'm telling you, like they could find them like it was ringing a bell. And it's a different world now. Everything is over-scouted, not under-scouted. But man, I'm telling you, you get an undrafted defenseman like Randy Gregg, who can play top 4 minutes on a Stanley team for, a decade. Holy man, is that ever an advantage?
Oh, God. And that wasn't even in the salary cap era. It's even more of an advantage now. If you can do it, you're right, they're scouting, but teams still find it, right? First round picks, second round picks, undrafted players in that order as far as most NHL players right now. So, you know what? There's still lots of teams who always tell kids, hey, your career does not end because you're not drafted at 17 or 18. Hell, lots of players haven't fully developed at all yet. They still don't know. And then do they have the desire to keep going and pushing and working? And you know what? We had Steve McIntyre on here, and he almost retired a few times in the minors, right? But just something kept keeping him going and coming back. And he had a new coach who believed in him, and away he went. And then he got to fulfill a dream and became an NHL player for a bit. Craig McTavish, kind of different than Greg. Greg's in there fully for everything he did as a player, also in the community. But Craig McTavish, player, assistant coach, head coach, VP of VP of hockey operations, and general manager. Pretty much did it all. There's I don't even think Kevin Lowe. Was Kevin Lowe an assistant coach too? He might have been for a year, right?
Well, and I think in New York, but not here.
Right. Okay. So then in the organization, no one's held as many titles.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I agree. I think that is absolutely fair. McTavish was he was kind of a perfect third line center. He just was. He did everything well. Penalty kill, face-offs. He had real skill. Mm-hmm. He could play. He was a smart player. He was always on the right side of the puck. And he valued players who were like that. So I think his ultimate team that he coached was 05-06. And that for me was the best even strength team. Maybe since Muckler was the coach, because they were so well disciplined, and even the guys who had maybe a little bit of chaos in their game, like Marc Bergeron. Marc-Andre Bergeron would make mistakes, but he would recover so quickly. And McT played him, and I was always surprised that he did, because he wasn't a McT type player, but he had great patience with him. I learned so much watching McTavish coach, because I think he got you talk about a guy who got a lot of the second round and undrafted players. McTavish was amazing in that way.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Al Mitchell, a.k.a. Lowtide Jones, here on a special edition of the Speckless Report. Al, we moved to the game tonight, the Oilers and the Penguins, and Podkolzin and Skinner swap spots. Podkolzin's with Draisaitl tonight and Arvidsson. Skinner's back with Henrique and Brown. You're hoping to spread the offense out and, just trying to get anything going offensively. 31st in offense right now. It's 7 games in. Enough's enough. Their offense has got to wake up.
Yeah, and it's some of this is, I wrote about this on The Athletic, but some of this is just luck. I mean, their shooting percentage is very low. They're also missing the damn net, but their passing is coming along. And I think that if you look at what they were doing a year ago under Woodcroft, their underlying numbers, their expected goals and Corsi and Fenwick were all good a year ago, and they lost a lot of games. I think it's a little different this year. I think that the 2 wins that they got last week were important, because they're playing well, but they're also they are improving in areas that they need to. I like that, Emberson is going to play. I think that Stetcher is a guy that they can look at it. I mean, obviously at the deadline, it's going to be a little bit different, but I feel like they're coming together. And as you mentioned a couple of times this week, Pittsburgh is maybe, with the possible exception of Nashville, Pittsburgh is the ideal opponent for a team like Edmonton that's struggling, because they own the Penguins.
Oh God, do they ever? It's not really close. It's It's one of those. It's kind of like, remember when the Oilers couldn't beat the Minnesota Wild, save their life for what Pekka Rinne used to beat them for fun. Now that's swapped, and Edmonton beats up on Nashville. But right now, the Oilers, not only have they won 6 in a row against Pittsburgh over the last 3 years, they beat them handily, outscoring them 33-9. Connor McDavid has 17 points in the 6 games. The Penguins have 9 goals.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. It's you mentioned the Wild. I used to go to the Wild games in Oilers, and if Lemaire got up 1-0 on you, you just the worst. Hit the pool hall, man. Yeah, it was just miserable hockey. There's a lot of lore to this game. I mean, Sidney Crosby is I had your M-Chuck on the lowdown today, and he said, how many more times is he going to be in Edmonton with the Penguins playing? And I'm like, holy cow.
Well,
that's
at least 2 more. He just signed a contract extension, so he's here at least twice more, right? Like, Sidney Crosby, you look at the great players. Sidney Crosby, if he wants 2,000 points, he can play until he gets 2,000 points. Now, he might not, but I don't see Sidney Crosby going away anytime soon. I don't see any reason to, right? He still loves the game, still playing at a high level. Why would he?
Well, the only thing I can think of is if they're a losing team 2 or 3 years in a row, it might get to him because, I don't think his desire to win has gone away. The team is older now. They've had a tremendous run. Basically, if you look at the top teams of this century, you'd have to put Pittsburgh with Chicago, and LA, just really, really good. And so he may get like sick of losing, but I mean, if he can hang around long enough that they can reload, that'd be a hell of a deal for Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. What's your expectations of Podkolzin?
Well, I like him. I don't like. I think that he's the kind of player that fans shouldn't maybe get too hung up on. How many goals he's going to score. It would be, I think, a better way of tracking him would be how many goals do the Oilers outscore the opposition while he's on the ice, because he's a physical guy. He is surprisingly he's fast. He has an idea about how to play without the puck, and responsible is a word that doesn't get used a lot. And I haven't watched him for 100 games, closely, but I feel like he gets the game. Like
his defensive game is not an issue at all.
Yeah. So I sometimes, I remember Ethan Moore used to score 15 a year with Marchand and Greer, and that was fabulous, and that was a really good line. But even if he doesn't score 15 a year, I think he could help. I really do, because the Oilers need guys like that. They need guys who you don't have to score 3 goals in a game, but if you're on the third line, say, and you outscore 1-0, and you do that enough, and at the end of the year, if 100 goals are scored and 56 of them are for you and 44 for the other guy, well, you've done a hell of a job, even no matter how many goals you score. And I think he might be that kind of guy.
Yeah, I the reason I asked is because I still don't know how much offense Dylan Holloway has. I really don't.
I don't either.
Right, and so Podkolzin should be able to replace Holloway's offense from last year. I don't, because, well, let's be honest, there wasn't very much last season, right? Like going forward, he might not be able to do it, but this season you look and say, okay, Podkolzin should be able to score 10 goals.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that you also have to look at like ice time, right? Like
totally.
People are going crazy about Holloway and about, but he's playing up and down the lineup. He's getting every opportunity. He's, I think, I'm not absolutely sure, but I think he's playing like 5 more minutes a night than he was a year ago. He wasn't going to get that, he wasn't going to get 15 minutes a night in Edmonton. So good for him. He's getting more time there. But I still, he's played 97 NHL games and he has 12 goals. That's Holloway. I on draft day, the worry that I talked to a scout, not an Oilers scout, but a scout in the NHL about Holloway after he was drafted, and he said, great athlete. I don't think he's got enough. He doesn't have the hands to score 25. And so that's what I went by, because that's what I was told. I still think that's true. So Holloway, good skater, lots of things that he can do, but I think that the gap between Podkolzin's offense on this team and what Holloway would have done on this team are probably not far apart.
Yeah. Al, the Stetcher Nurse, like, I know that they want to rotate guys around. I'd rather just play Darnell Nurse on the left side. I think he's fine. I think he's actually had a really good start to the season. And so just Stetcher and Emerson, and if Dermott has to come in, he can play in the third pair. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Nurse is healthy and he's playing with an edge and he's more himself now. I think there are a lot of things that happen on the ice, and he's still kind of getting out of his preseason mode because he was a little bit behind. But if you look at what Nurse has been able to do this year, and especially lately, I think that I would play him 20 games with Stetcher. That's what I would do, and I would play Emerson 20 games with Kulak. And I just play them because 20 games from now, you're going to have your answer. If you play them for 20 games in a row, then you'll have your answer. You'll know. Emerson, for me, he's calming down more every game. He was a little bit of a deer in the headlights at the first game, especially on the goal by the Jets player. Can't remember his name now. Right-handed shot, and he couldn't get over and cover. He was not moving his feet. It just happened. It was first game of the year. But he's not that guy now. He's settled in pretty nicely. I'd run the 6 and what we talked about with different era. But the one thing about the Oilers back then was if they had something that worked, they stayed with it. Mm-hmm. And those pairings were together for a long, long time. Just run those 6 together for like 20 games and see what you have. If there's a problem by the end of the 20 games, then you have to address it. But my feeling is Stetcher's got some NHL experience. He's undersized, but he's a tough nut. He really is. Like, he's not a shy violet. He'll play, and I'd like to see it anyway.
Al, what do the Oilers do this weekend?
Well, I think they're going to win both, and I think that it's going to be. I think the puck. There's a puck luck thing, and sometimes a puck goes in off somebody's ass, and then all of a sudden the floodgates open. I think we're there. I think Hyman's going to have a huge weekend.
All right, Al, have a wonderful night. Enjoy the games.
All right. Sounds good.
Oh, well, finally, Al, what about the Elks? Trey Ford's final game of the season. What do you expect?
Well, I think they win, and I really think, and I know you've been talking about this, but I think that they might just have to go with a new manager and new coach to kind of exercise the Chris Jones era, because it seems like it's kind of lingered a little too long. They have to make their own. They have to make their own story, and they were doing that, and then they kind of went backwards, and I'm not sure why, but maybe that'll all get figured out. But I hope they win. I think that it would be great. Trey Ford having a big game, fans happy, going into the offseason with a pretty darn good record considering the start, Jason. I hope that happens for them.
Awesome, Al. Have a good one. We'll chat with you Monday.
All right, sounds good. Bye-bye.
It's Al Mitchell filling in on the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we return, we've talked a lot about the Penguins. Well, what about the Detroit Red Wings? That's who the Oilers play on Sunday. We'll give you a little preview of that when we return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50, Gregor50, and you'll get a free $50 wager at PlayAlberta.ca.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 Select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Day or night, tasting just the right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So sit on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
You've probably heard the term supply and demand. Something is needed and someone supplies it. We're GS Construction, and we're in the supply and demand business with you. Edmonton and the surrounding area continue to grow. Infrastructure has to be continually replaced and upgraded to keep up with demand. You see it with new buildings and new roads, but what about below ground, where all sorts of pipes bring you water and take wastewater away? That's where we come in. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
For 5 days only, the President's Sale is on at the Brick. We've got the best offers of the season, like up to 50% off mattresses, up to $800 off sectionals, and up to 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Also, when you buy more, you save more, up to an additional $1,000 when you buy 2 or more select major kitchen appliances. Plus, prepare for the holidays with our price protection guarantee. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:28. It's Positive Friday. What do you got planned for the weekend? Hopefully it's great. You got a lot of sports. World Series tonight. You got Oilers tonight. Elks final game of the season. If you're an NBA fan, there's a boatload of NBA action happening. Of course, the Oilers are playing again on Sunday in Detroit City, taking on the Red Wings, who last night got another big victory, and the Magician was at work again, if you saw that game or not. But my goodness, Patrick Kane last night. Oh man, the Devils are having a little bit of nightmare with him, as he's just so dynamic on the power play. I don't know if you saw the game winner with about 3.5 minutes to go, but God, he's good. And then the play made to Dylan Larkin early in the third period as well. Kane's one of my favorite players to watch. So he's one of those guys when you to me, he's tuned in television just to watch from a pure entertainment and skill level. There's very few guys like him. Ansar Khan, he's covered a lot of people in his time in Detroit. And Ansar, that Kane kid, he's still pretty good.
Yeah, he certainly is. Still has those hands, still has those moves. Just a terrific passer, and that wicked shot. The Wings are fortunate that he elected to sign with them coming back, because offense is a problem for this team coming in. They lost a lot of goals, and they really need whatever they can get from a full season with Kane.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a great start to the year for the Red Wings, but and I know that yesterday was a game where they won, but they're probably going to look back on it and be like, "Oof, you know what? We got outshot 2-1, and our goaltender was fantastic for us." So there's still some work to do there, but they're at least winning some games now. Where do you say, how high is the pressure within the organization for them to take a significant step and be a playoff team this year?
I think it's pretty high. Last year, you can almost say they overachieved a little bit last year. But then when they went on that run and they actually built like an 8-point lead for that final playoff spot in February, then expectations all of a sudden were raised, and everybody expected them to make the playoffs, to at least hang on to that lead. And when they faltered down the stretch, that was a huge letdown. And to lose it on a tiebreaker, it would be seen as a regression now if they didn't take the next step and at least got in there as the 8th seed. But yeah, no, I think definitely the pressure is on to make the playoffs, which would be for the first time since 2016.
You look at what's up with Husso. What's kind of gone wrong with him in his time in Detroit?
He had a couple of injuries, a couple separate lower body injuries last year that really set him back. And he was healthy in the off season. He said he felt good, and throughout training camp, he actually had a very good preseason training camp. And then he had one bad game, the season opener, and that was enough that he was the one guy that they felt that they knew that they could slip through waivers, because obviously nobody was going to take him with his contract and injury history and the way he performed in the season opener. So they were confident they'd be able to slip him through and put him in Grand Rapids to pair with Kosa, their goalie of the future. And he's still, they say they haven't given up on him. He's number 3. And if they get an injury up here to either Talbot or Lyon, then they'll recall Husso.
Yeah, so kind of a far ways away from it. Jack Campbell, of course, is in the player assistance program right now, so likely not going to help out this season for them at all. Looking at kind of, up and down their line, when you see the wings, you got Mo Seider, great. How has young Edmondson looked in his plays? Playing over 20 minutes a night last I checked.
Yeah, no, he's taken 7 games into the season, he's taken a fairly significant step. The other night, in Long Island, he actually led the team in ice time, which is unheard of. Seider always leads the team, but Edmondson played a career high 24 plus minutes, and he's been really good. And since they paired him, even better since they paired him with Seider 3 games ago, they formed quite a top pairing with 6'6" and 6'3" with their long wingspans. They cover a lot of ice, and looks like the Wings really have their top defense pairing for the foreseeable future set.
Yeah, you mentioned him and Seider. After that, though, there's probably a few question marks, right? Sherrod, you got Olimata. They recalled Justin Hall. How's he looked since coming up?
Hall's actually looked fairly good. Last year, of course, he only played 30-some games. He was the odd man out, simply from a numbers standpoint. But they trust him enough this year. They like him. They put him over a couple games ago. Put him over Olimata and the young guy Albert Johansson, who's pretty much number 8 on the depth chart. But Hall has looked solid. He's another big guy, 6'3". That the right-handed shot is what they really feel they need there. They like having a balance of righties and lefties back there, and Hall gives them their third right-handed shot, and that's one of the reasons that they gave him a chance, and he stepped in, and he hasn't looked out of place.
When you look overall at the organization, they've had a little bit of bad luck in the lottery, to put it mildly, for them. They've gained nothing really from it, and it's been a long time for them. How patient is Steve Yzerman in your eyes?
He's patient to a fault. I think one of the criticisms that fans had of Ken Holland was, well, he's not bringing up the kids. He's letting them overripe in the AHL, and he's signing all these veteran players, and all these older guys. It's not giving the kids a chance. Well, Yzerman's doing the same thing pretty much. They started the season. Marco Kasper, their top pick in 2022, had an outstanding training camp preseason, and fans were clamoring for him. They started him out in Grand Rapids. Had a couple injuries, brought him up, and he's looked decent in his I think three or four games here. But that just shows that Yzerman also is patient, signing these veteran players, letting the kids develop longer than a lot of fans would like in Grand Rapids. It's what he did with Edmonton.
Yeah.
Certainly, Edmonton took some time to finally break through. This is his first full season, of course. I think the only exception was Lucas Raymond, who didn't spend any time in the AHL, and the plan was for him to go to Grand Rapids, but he basically forced himself onto the roster 3 years ago with an outstanding training camp. But other than that, even Sider spent a year first during the pandemic in Europe, and then a year in Grand Rapids before they brought him up.
Well, so I actually think the more patient you are, the better, right? Because it's very rare that young players can come up and make any sort of impact in the roster to the point that it's going to help your team. So if you can somehow build their confidence elsewhere, away you go. How short of a leash, how long of a leash does the head coach have this season in Detroit?
It's hard to say with Yzerman. He was very patient with Jeff Blashill, but he also knew that Blashill didn't have a whole lot to work with.
Yeah,
I think this is a different case. The expectations are to at least challenge for a playoff spot and make it. So the expectations are raised there. This is his Lalonde's third year, so I'm guessing that the leash is definitely short. Much shorter than it was with Blashill, with basically a much worse roster.
Like when you look at this team, can you tell how much does the coach have to work with? Because if I pass the first two defensemen, I'm like, I'm not sure how much there is. So would it even matter? How much more could a coach get out of this roster in your eyes?
Yeah, it is tough. They are lacking. I think the difference makers is what they're really lacking. You look their competition, the other playoff teams in the East, they all have, 2-3 stars, the game changers, and the Wings have some good players in Dylan Larkin and Moritz Seider, but you're talking about, I don't believe Larkin's ever, his highest total has been 32 goals and I think high 70s in points.
Yeah.
They just don't have that. They just don't have that elite level player. Mo Seider's, maybe the closest, but as good as he is, he's probably not going to be a Norris Trophy finalist anytime soon. And that's what they're lacking is that the Pavel Datsyuk, the Henrik Zetterberg. The last time they won the cup in 2008, a bona fide elite star players, future Hall of Famers in their case. Datsyuk, of course, already in, but yeah.
Well, Ansar, enjoy the weekend. Should be interesting to see the Red Wings and the Oilers as they will do battle for the first time this season on Sunday. I'm assuming it's still a pretty decent draw when you have Connor McDavid coming to town. The Red Wings are in Buffalo, though, tomorrow. So do you know who's playing in goal tomorrow? And then conversely, who would play on Sunday?
Yeah, Alex Lyon's starting tomorrow.
Okay.
He's coming off that shutout in Long Island. And so I would assume that on back-to-back, then we'll see Cam Talbot on Sunday.
All right, Cam Talbot against his former team. All right. Thanks so much, Ansar. Have yourself an awesome weekend. Enjoy the games.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. That's Ansar Khan from M Live in Detroit. Has covered that team for a long time, and they still continue their philosophy. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world at times. Some guys aren't ready. And I'm not sure how good some of their young guys are, past Sider and Raymond. Like, how good are they? Edmonton, I think, is good. Now, he played 1 year in the minors. There's nothing wrong with that. That, to me, is not overripening a guy by any stretch of the imagination. But how good are the other guys? I don't really know. Like, Detroit, their problem is they've missed the playoffs, but they haven't had a top 3 pick in that time. Right? Raymond was their highest at 4. That's kind of the rough part for them. 541, we'll come back. Lots of texts to get to at 833-401-1440 in our EWEL inbox, 833-401-1440. EWEL, your partner in power since 1975.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility. Available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine. You can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m. I couldn't ignore it. Everyone kept saying, "You look so tired."
Are you getting enough sleep, dear?
Hon, you look like you need some rest.
But I'm not tired. I guess I just look that way.
But you don't have to. I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I provide skin-refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance. Don't worry, we won't drastically change how you look, but we will help you look as energetic as you feel. Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Your co-op grow team are your local experts because we live here too. Our agronomic specialists stay up to date with the latest research and technology to help support your entire farm operation. Talk to our team for advice tailored to your farm's needs. We have recommendations to help you optimize your crop yield and quality while enhancing the health of your land. Co-op, we're all growing together. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
The legacy of trust and commitment at Denham Ford drives us forward. For over 65 years, we've upheld a tradition of excellence marked distinctly by our unparalleled customer satisfaction. Each vehicle in our showroom mirrors the quality and dedication that won us Canada's prestigious President's Award 51 times over. Denham Ford on the Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or online at denhamford.ca. Join our extended family and drive tradition forward with Denham Ford.
Sometimes it feels like you work, sleep, and, well, that's about it. When you finally get a break for something different at Edmonton's best games room. Top Shots, billiards, and ping pong. Unwind with championship tables, a state-of-the-art golf simulator, and 15,000 feet of games and fun for all ages. Top Shots is a fully licensed bar and restaurant with dozens of flat screens. #1 for parties, for bookings for any size. Top Shots, the best thing to happen at pool since chalk. In the woods and at topshots.ca.
With harvest wrapping up, it's time to move on to some other projects around the farm. Lyman rents and sells high-speed tillage equipment. New or used, we have discs and heavy harrows to suit every farm's needs. Have a project that needs to be cleaned up and hauled away? Lyman also sells and rents utility trailers, tilts, dumps, enclosed, even sled decks for this winter. We have what you need to help get the job done. So visit us in Nisku, Fairview, Lethbridge, or Medicine Hat, or online at lyman.com.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
Look good, feel good, play good. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for listening to Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:46. Well, the out-of-town scoreboard. I know it's super early in the season, but when the Oilers have aspirations to, get home ice advantage in the playoffs and they're off to a slow start, you need some help with the out-of-town scoreboard. And currently they're getting some as the Senators have gone back out in front. Adam Gaudette's second of the game, second of the season, and they lead the Golden Knights by a score of 4-3. Vegas, of course, has 9 points in 7 games. The Oilers have 5 now. So if Vegas loses in regulation, Oilers win. Suddenly they're only 2 back of the Golden Knights after Edmonton has kind of a sluggish start. So you know what? You look at Calgary. Does anybody think Calgary's really going to stay there? That's kind of the advantage. If Edmonton can win tonight and Vegas loses, then you look and say after 8 games, the Oilers are only 3-4-1, but they're only 2 points back of Vegas. Because I think if you look at it, that's the team, right? LA maybe, but let's be real here. I don't think Calgary is going to be the team at the top of the division. So that's kind of the benefit for Oilers. Now it's a big if, because A, you need Ottawa to hold on to the lead. B, you need the Oilers to get a win. So, like Ottawa's been out. The Golden Knights had 3 goals on their first 15 shots a game. Now 2 of them, Allmark had no chance on, but it's his first game back. So we'll see. Also, the Islanders leading 2-1 over the Devils, and the Preds and Blackhawks will get going in about 50 minutes time. And then the Oilers and the Penguins, going to be about a 7-10 puck drop tonight. If you're going to the game, remember the ceremony for Randy Gregg and Craig McTavish to the Oilers Hall of Fame, the Ring of Fame, I like to call it, will be after the game. A lot of text, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, fellas, what's your expectations for Puljujärvi tonight? What kind of reception does he get? I don't know. This is not his first game back to Edmonton. They're not going to have a honor. It's not like every time the guy comes back. So I don't know. He plays on their 4th line, and I think there'll be some people who support him. I don't really think it's going to be much of a storyline unless he produces a goal or point or something like that. I think the bigger ones, people will be watching Malkin and Crosby and Letang and Carlson, et cetera, and see what they do. Most importantly, I think Oilers fans are just worried about their own team. Hey, guys, you know how many games Hyman's went since being in order without a goal? Yeah, I looked it up. He's had 8 and 9 game streaks. Actually had one in his first season when he scored 27 goals, where he went 13 games without a goal. So Zach Hyman's had a lot of chances. I think Zach Hyman is scoring tonight. Now, the question is, does anybody else get off the schneid? Does a Victor Arvidsson? Does a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? They're going to, it would be nice. The Oilers could use quite a few guys to get off of the schneid offensively for them. Helps them. And you know what? Then they go on a 4-game road trip. You're into Detroit. You're into Nashville. You're into Columbus and Calgary. Those are not, this is not death row where you're going into Florida and Tampa and Boston and Toronto, for instance, right? Or you're going to the Rangers and the Devils and Carolina. It's just not. 3 of those teams missed the playoffs last year. None of them are really blessed. Edmonton has more talent than Detroit. Edmonton has more talent than Columbus. Edmonton has more talent than Nashville, and they have more talent than Calgary. Now, will they win every game? I don't know. We'll see. Cons thinks they're winning out the month. So we'll see.
I'm a believer, Turn it around. No time better than the present.
Quickly, I look at the Oilers and the Penguins tonight, but also the World Series. Cons, you're right. Like, it's the World Series, man. This is one of the biggest World Series we've seen in a while. You've got huge names. Soto won it. First time since 1956 that the respective AL and NL home run leaders are going head-to-head in the World Series. They both had over 50. Then you throw in Juan Soto. You throw in Stanton. You throw in Betts. Like, there is no shortage of star power across the board here. Now, Freddie Freeman, I know, is battling back from injuries. Rizzo, same thing with the broken fingers. You know what? You got some pitchers on both sides. Like, this should be, on paper, it should be a hell of a series.
Yeah, I mean, could you ask for a better storyline when it comes to these two teams, the Yankees and the Dodgers? Huge fan bases. People are going to be watching all over the place. You know, even if without the star power, these organizations are going to have a lot of eyes on them. And then you factor that in, going to be fantastic. I believe this is their 12th time meeting in the World Series. The Yankees have won 8, Dodgers have won 3, so the Dodgers can make it just a little bit closer. But yeah, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Soto, it's the names are just unbelievable. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be having that on. Like, we got the Oilers game on tonight. I think we're going to have to find 3 TVs because got to get the Elks game, got to get this game going on.
Yes.
It's going to be outstanding. Can't wait to watch it all. The only problem is there's just so much to watch right now, but hey, sports fans are committed. They'll make it work.
PVR, man.
PVR is a huge help.
It's massive now. Massive. You can have, you know, because think about it. You got the World Series going on. You got the Oilers game. You got the Elks game. If you're a sports fan, you want to watch all 3. So you can record them. And then if you want, now baseball is a little bit different because depending, you know, you want to fast forward it however you want. That's fine. Right? Hockey, you can watch it, then fast forward the intermissions if need be, whatever. But I know that my son, before he left the house, because he's coming to the game tonight, our whole family's going. And I was like, make sure you record the games because you know what? I want to watch the Elks game. I know the game means nothing in the standings, but I'm a big believer that it means something. I'm looking at play calling cons. I'm looking at execution. There's a few other guys on the defensive side of the ball. The Elks got a lot of free agents. And you can, I know Toronto's not dressing their best of the best. I understand that. So I would hope the Elks dominate the game then.
Yeah. I mean, hey, there is always somebody watching. It might not be necessarily your coaching staff for the next season, but there's always going to be eyes on you. The players that are free agents have something to play for. The players that aren't, you know, we see releases from football all the time. So if you want to have a chance to go out there and show that you give a damn, you're going to be busting your tail in this game, not only for your current coaching staff, but whoever might be here next year. And if you have someone who's taking it easy, Gregor, you don't want that guy on your team. You want them every time they're out there, giving it all that they have. So for a lot of people, it's just putting a good tape. For other GMs around the league, whoever's here next year, you can't take any play off. It's going to be shown throughout film rooms if you do. So I'm looking forward to that one too. And if you're going down to the game, throw that jacket on. Might be a little chilly out there.
And actually, you know what? Pulley hasn't played in Edmonton yet. So this will be his first game. Will they have a short video? I don't know if they'll have a video, but they'll probably acknowledge him. I would think. They do it for every player now, so I would think they would. So yeah, there'll be that. They'd probably get a decent round of applause. But, you know, Pulley was a polarizing figure in Edmonton. I think he was, you know what? It was unfortunate where he got drafted because I think that really altered expectations for a lot of people. His injuries played a factor a little bit. There's a lot of factors there. He was never as good as some people wanted to claim. Like, remember when they said he made McDavid better? Pardon? No, he did not. I don't care what claim you're trying to make. That claim was never true. But he also, and unfortunately, he wasn't as bad, but you play in the top line that often, you just never produced. It was unfortunate. I hope he finds a consistent shift in the NHL. Pre-game show is coming up next. Walker and Paulson along with Ferraro on behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger. I'm Jason Gregor. Thanks for listening. Please don't drink and drive. Get home safe. Let's get to a sports update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges, weekends, overnights. So build a legacy at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
We're just over an hour away from puck drop as the Oilers taking on the Penguins down at Rogers Place. Pre-game coverage coming up next with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. 3 other games on the ice tonight. After 40 minutes, Sens lead the Golden Knights 4-3. And after 20, the Islanders up on the Devils 2-1. In about 35 minutes, you got the Blackhawks taking on the Prez in the CFL. The Edmonton Elks wrap up their season hosting the Argos. Kickoff 7:30 down at Commonwealth Stadium. Right now, the Red Blacks on top of the Hamilton Tiger Cats 10-3. That one is in the second quarter. In the NBA right now, Raptors leading the 76ers 40-38. 9 minutes remaining in the second quarter. And of course, it's game one of the World Series tonight down in Los Angeles as the Dodgers host the Yankees. First pitch set for 6:08. Locally, the Oil Kings in Everett taking on the Silvertips just after 8 o'clock. And the AJ Bonneville takes on Lloyd. GP hosting Drumheller. Calgary's in Drayton Valley. And Fort Mac takes on Old. The Spruce Grove Saints are in Blackfald. And then you've got in Sherwood Park, the Crusaders hosting West Kelowna. Both of those games starting at 7. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, pregame coverage with Andrew Walker. I'm Connor Halley.